All right. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Brian, and I'm here with Evan and Ryan. And in this live stream, we'll be rocking a best ball draft. Here we go.
All right, welcome everybody. So a little bit of a different draft this time. We're not doing a mock draft. This is a real draft for a best ball league. We all put some money into this draft. Prizing goes out to first, second, and third. So it'll be a fun one to rewatch maybe halfway through the season, see who's up and stuff. But yeah, if you don't know what best ball is, or sometimes referred to as best puck, the draft is the only thing that the manager needs to do in this league. So there are no transactions at all, no lineup changes at all. In this Apples and Ginos format, we draft 24 total rounds, so 24 players. Each night, the system automatically counts the top players at each position toward your total score. It counts the top 2 centers, top 2 left wings, top 2 right wings, top 4 D, top 2 goalies, and an additional 2 skaters. So a lot of people aim for 4 to 5 of each forward position, 5 to 8 defensemen, and 2 to 4 goalies. There's also no dual eligibility in this format, so each player is at their sole position. So it should be a fun one. You draft it and you forget about it, or you track it all year and watch every day and make sure you're winning. Who knows? The scoring is the same as the APL point system, although in this format, there is no added power play point bonus. So that those were added 0.5 points in the previous ones, but in this one, there's none. So a goal is 5 points, assists is 3.75, shots are 0.5, blocks are 0.6, hits are 0.3. Goalies, we have 2.75 points for a win, 3 for a shutout. A save is 0.35 points, and a goal against is negative 1.5. So goalies need an 8-10 save percentage for positive points. So yeah, Brian and Evan, any initial thoughts on strategies for this type of format?
Just got to shake out the nerves here, boys. No, I just think I think we kind of talked about this just off air here, but yeah, really prioritizing. It's pretty much the same most drafts, prioritizing the wings if you can, some defense earlier in the draft. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with goalies quite yet, but definitely going to need to pick up on some goalies because you need those. Evan, what about you?
Yeah, we're 0G here, so I'm just going to avoid them like the plague. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to do, especially because this is real. This is not a mock, so we got to take it serious. Definitely still want to beat Ryan and everything, but money's on the line now. And to your point, I'm not going to be checking every day, but I will be collecting my winnings at the end of the year. So
okay,
I like that.
All right. But yeah, great point on like 0G. I think with the fact that there's no transactions, you can't drop anyone. You can't put anyone on IR plus. There's going to be a little bit of a different strategy here for 0G or avoiding potential injury risks. You really have to account for that a little more because they're stuck on your team all season, and you want every roster spot to get you some points.
Absolutely. We got Connor McDavid going at the 1-1. No surprise there. I think we touched on it last podcast and even pretty much every mock draft that we do. But Ryan, real quick, Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid? You have the first overall pick in this draft, best ball draft.
Yeah, I think we're all in consensus here. I got to go Nate McKinnon. Just those shots provide such a good floor.
Nate Dogg. Yeah, Nate Dogg. I feel like I wonder what Edmonton's really going to do with McDavid this year. I was listening to something the other day, and it's quite interesting, just saying like, you know, Edmonton's pretty much a lock to make the playoffs. So it'd be kind of interesting if they try to quote unquote shelter McDavid's minutes a little bit more. Whereas we know in Colorado, they just run their top line all the time, 24/7. It works really well for them. So it'll be really interesting this season. But yeah, to your point, Ryan, I feel most comfortable with Mac Daddy or Nate Dogg going at 1.
Yeah. And just letting you guys know, anyone who doesn't know or isn't in the Apples and Genos Discord, we have slow drafts like these going on all the time. I think we're on best ball number 23 now. So we've had 23 drafts like this go on, slow drafts with 6-hour time periods. So get into these best balls. They're $5. It's a pretty fun way to get drafted in the off season.
Yeah. I'm in 1 now. I need to join the next 20 when they go out. They are fun. Nice and slow too, so there's no stress with the clock here. Just a quick recap. After McDavid went at 1, we went McKinnon at 2, Makar at 3, Kucherov at 4, Draisaitl at 5, Kaprizov 6, Matthews, Brady Tkachuk. Evan went with Brady Tkachuk. Talk to us about Brady Tkachuk before Ryan went with Pasta.
I think Brady Tkachuk is due for some more. I don't know what it was. I watched the trailer for the NHL video game. I don't know if you guys saw that. Matthew Tkachuk got the cover and they're showing Brady in there. It's getting me hyped up, man. Team USA. No, I think he is, I think he could easily get closer to a point per game with some higher goal scoring. We know his peripheral floor. So I feel pretty good about it. I thought about taking a Werenski, but I left that for someone else.
Yeah. I think that's a hot take there. Brady Tkachuk at 8. I think we haven't had Pasternak fall that far in a lot of these best ball slow drafts so far. I'm very happy to take him 9th. But I do like Brady Tkachuk because he's a left wing in this format with a lot of the solo positions, no dual eligibility. Left wing is more scarce than all the other forward positions. So I don't blame you for going for a left wing there in the first round.
And Brian's on the clock. So after you went Austin Matthews before me, Ryan, then I went Brady Tkachuk. Then at the 9th spot, David Pasternak, 10, Zach Werenski, 11, Quinn Hughes, and Brian goes Mikko Rantanen, and I can't hate on that too much as I'm rocking my Dallas gear here today for you, Ryan, because you hate the team so much. So, Brian, talk to us about your 2 picks.
Yeah, again, just kind of looking at some of wingers here. I was kind of torn just going with not picking Rantanen, but I didn't want to let him slide a little bit more. We know what the situation is in Dallas, but if Dallas is going to have some good offense, we know it's going to run with Mikko Rantanen. A little skeptical with Dallas's top line, but I'm optimistic about it. So that's why I went with Rantanen, big moose there, and then Kyle Connor just for that left wing. He's an elite scorer. Give me some shots, give me some goals. Love that with Kyle Connor, the 2-1.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was listening to Nate and Blake talk about Dallas guys in their projection series, and they're a lot higher than I am on them. So they're with you there.
Yeah.
I also there was an interesting bet to take on DraftKings earlier today. I saw of taking either Rantanen or Martin Necas to get more points, and Rantanen was heavily favored. And I mean, I'm on the Necas side now. I put a little bit on that, and,
Wow.
and I'll wait to be proven wrong, but I don't think Mikko Rantanen is touching 90 points this year.
Interesting. Well, I hope you're wrong because I took him at the 112 spot. But yeah, it remains to be seen. It'll be really interesting. I know Nate and Blake or I guess it was Nate that kind of projected Robertson to have more points than Rantanen. So that would be quite interesting to see. I can't go wrong with either. But yeah, I just didn't want to pass up Rantanen. He's too big of a name. I like the player. Yeah, we'll see what they do. Might be a little bit different in Dallas this year. Hopefully the top line gets a lot more exposure, a lot more minutes, but remains to be seen, of course. So we'll have to wait and see. After I went with 2-1, Kyle Connor, we got Marner at the 2-2, Jack Eichel, and then Philip Forsberg. Ryan, I was actually debating just taking 2 left wings for second, going with Kyle Connor and Forsberg. So I like that pick there. Talk to me a little bit about Forsberg.
Yeah, I love him here at this spot in the second round. I think that he will bounce back, even though he still had a great season last year. I think Nashville is bound to bounce back a bit. It was a little tricky here. I wanted to take a defenseman. I wanted to take either Dahlin or Bouchard because I know that no elite defenseman is coming back to me in the third round. But we have the left wing here, which is scarce, so I'm happy with Forsberg's.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one or the other at this point, right? Take an elite defenseman or picking up the left winger. So I love that. Evan, speaking of Dahlin, Evan went with Rasmus Dahlin at the 2-5, and then Jack Hughes was taken right after. Evan, talk to us about Dahlin. We know we all love Dahlin here.
We all love Dahlin. I've taken him in prior drafts. He's definitely the top option for me after Makar, Werenski, Quinn Hughes. It's pretty easy. I think, again, if Buffalo can get it going, his ceiling just climbs that much higher. Individually as a player, he's going to get those hits, blocks, shots, category coverage, with adding the points up. And then I think his goal scoring is super underrated too. But if Buffalo can get that power play nailed down, I'm really happy about that pick. And then we got a comment here, Matt, Evan and Ryan next to each other, get the popcorn ready. And I would agree with that. It's going to be interesting here to see what we can do after Jack Hughes at the 2-6. We got Panarin at the 2-7, Bouchard at the 2-8, Nylander at the 2-9. Ryan, any of those picks surprise you?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go.
What surprises me is you taking Dahlin over Bouchard here. But Dahlin, he has the peripherals, so he will provide you that safer floor. But his peripherals went down a bit last season, and that worries me. Where I think Bouchard will get more points and likely more goals as well. So I think I would have gone Bouchard. But I'm just staying on brand here, getting some popcorn to hate on your pick.
That's right.
Do I get the rebuttal or?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think Bouchard got that contract signed, so he's done. It's over. It's 40-point defenseman again. No, we all know how they play for the bag, and I think Bouchard, for me, I was really excited to take him in a lot of spots last year. After that massive season that he had. And I do think he's easily going to get back to the 60-plus point range. It remains to be seen for me with Edmonton going to back-to-back cups. You talk about that fatigue setting in. Is he going to kind of get closer to the point per game mark like he was that season, or is his production kind of more in the 60, 65 point range? But I do really like Bouchard. I think it's more likely than not that he gets back to the point per game kind of pace than he did last year. I think he is going to essentially do a bit better this year than last if I had to put money on it.
Yeah, one thing I will say is I think I'd probably prefer Bouch over Dahlin. I don't think he's going to return to a 40-point defenseman. But reason being, I just think Dahlin plays a much more physical game. And you know how he is, especially in this kind of draft. You do want to take, I guess, the injury narrative a little bit into thought process here. And because Dahlin plays so physical, a lot of the offense runs through him, of course, but he's involved everywhere. I would be a little worried maybe about Dahlin getting injured, and then that kind of really series you a little bit here. Whereas Bouchard, we know he's afraid of the puck defensively, but offensively he always has the puck. So that's kind of where I'd be leaning here.
Yeah, and that's a great point about injuries. I think normally we would be more inclined to ignore any injury risk because we can put them on the IR and get a replacement player on waivers. But in this format, there's no transactions. You're stuck with them all season. So, maybe we're wrong and injury risk is not actually predictable. But if someone's missing games every season, they're a little scarier to take in this format. Mm-hmm. We got a little question from Blake Creamer over here. Are you a subscriber to the Heavy D drafting early on? And he wants to know from all of us for this specific format for best ball. So yeah, we have D going pretty quick off the board here. We're at 2D in the first round, 3D in the first round. And then we had 6D go within 2 rounds. And yeah, because there's 4 D slots in a given night, you want your team to have at least 6D. I think I aim for 7D total on my team. So any chance I could take a nice D early on, I'm going for it. And I might regret not doing so in the second round here because we had Hedman go at 212, we had Uyghur go at 3-4, and then we just had Jake Sanderson go at 3-6. So we're already 8D down and midway through the third round. what do you guys think about D in this format?
Yeah, we talked about it. The elites are short in supply, so I think it is a good idea to kind of jump on it. Now that we've already gone past my pick at the 2-1, I'm really starting to regret not picking up a D, but maybe I'll make up for it here. That's kind of my thought process here. Evan, I noticed you went with Yossi. You think a bounce back is imminent with Yossi?
Yeah, I do. It's funny because Blake kind of read my mind there, and I was really hoping that the guy before me wouldn't take Yossi. I think in any other prior year, he could have easily gone in the second round, if not even the end of the first. He's the elite of elite, and I think that this year Nashville and Roman Yossi himself are due for a big bounce back. I would not be surprised to see him get back to 70 points plus this year. Ryan, how do you feel about that? I got a knock on that Yossi pick in the third round?
No, actually, that's exactly who I was eyeing. I was hoping maybe he could slide a little bit. I've said it before. I don't think Nashville's going to be as bad as they were. And Yossi also, I think he missed a lot of time last year with injuries. So I don't think that's going to be the case with Yossi here. He shoots a lot for a defenseman as well. Can put up big numbers. So yeah, I love the pick.
Yeah, I would just be, I'm still a little worried about Yossi with the POTS diagnosis. I don't know much about it, but the more I read about it online, the more scared I am to draft him this early. But I think if he can manage that diagnosis and play to his normal self, the third round is awesome value for him.
Yeah, I would have to think that he's going to get back to at least good form. It is something that he'll have to manage, to your point. So, but I think that in the third round, Roman Yossi, for the talent that he brings when he is healthy and can play, I think I'll take that. Especially with we're talking about the defenseman being so scarce. I think Yossi, prior to that, he was in that, for me at least, he's in that top tier kind of with the Dahlin, Bouchard. So to get him in the third, I was pretty happy with that. But Ryan, you go with Brandon Hagel, someone I also was looking at for a left winger. Brian's coming up on his pick. Talk to me about Brandon Hagel.
Yeah, he really broke out last season and proved to be more than a middle six defensive type forward. He still kills penalties. He plays great, tough minutes against top players. But I think this year, and last year it happened, but I think he's really solidified himself as a top line guy to get top line even strength minutes, whether it's with Point and Kucherov or not. If it is, that's a huge boost. And if not, I still think he has a better shot to get more power play time this season than he's ever gotten before. I don't think they're going to trot out Nick Paul or Oliver Bjorkstrand there anymore. I think they know that Brandon Hagel can shine on the power play, and I think point per game is really what Hagel will provide this year.
Yeah, that would be great. I know there's some risk to him on the power play, but I like the chances that he would get on that power play. He had a breakout year last year, like you said, so I really like that. I'll just quickly, I don't know if we've done a recap in a while, to be honest. I don't know. Where we? I think we left off at the 2-9. I don't think we recapped anything. So after Nylander went 2-9, I went Gensel, Robertson, Edmund, Keller, Reinhart, Natchez, Weegar, Bratt, Sanderson, Boldy, Yossi, Hagel, Thompson, Point, Caulfield, Morrissey, and then Lane Hudson. So my two picks, I went with Cole Caulfield and Josh Morrissey. I was thinking about stacking up on defense, just to Ryan's point earlier, but went with Cole Caulfield. Left wing is scarce. It was between him and Ovechkin. I just think Ovechkin is definitely on the decline. I don't want to take a chance on Ovechkin in the third round. Caulfield, young team, looking to improve. If he can increase his shot volume, the goals are going to come as well. He's a sniper, so I know that goals are weighted really highly here, so definitely want to jump on that. And then Josh Morrissey, power play stud, or maybe not a power play stud, but a lock on the power play, which doesn't give us any extra benefit, but it just means he has more chance of scoring points. I like what Winnipeg is, and he's a large part of that offense. Some injury risk with Morrissey, but he blocks, he'll shoot, he'll get me some points. So I needed some Morrissey for me.
Yeah, he's a power play stud. He got 20 22 last year. That's great for a defenseman.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to incriminate myself by saying anything I shouldn't have. So, yeah. All right, then I'm okay with that. After Morrissey went with Lane Hudson, and then Ovechkin, speaking of, goes at the 4-3. But it'd be really interesting to see Lane Hudson's projection. I know everyone has him really, really high. It would be really interesting to see what he goes. Ryan, you went with Sider at the 4-4. Can't hate on that. Covers everything peripherally. He's probably a lock on the power play. What do you like about Sider there?
Yeah, I love Sider's high floor. So I'm a little worried of him losing his power play time to Simone Edvinsson this year. Definitely not in the start of the season, but potentially later in the season. But I think even if that happens, Sider provides so many blocks, so many hits, and plenty of shots that even if he's on power play 2, he'll get plenty of points every night that he's playing. And in this format, especially from my D, I want guys who are going to put up points each night they're playing. Sometimes if you choose like a Lane Hudson and he doesn't get you an assist or a goal that night, he's not getting you any points. But at Mo Sider, he'll still get you I think 4 fantasy points, which is better than an assist without any actual points. Yeah, so I needed my first D there as well. I was waiting on D, and Evan, you took a third D. Look at that.
I'm just taking them all up. None of you guys are going to have any left. To your point about Mo Sider, I like that take. I feel like when you have at least like a handful of those players on your team, you're really happy. That's kind of honestly why I went with Brady Tkachuk. The guy is getting so many fantasy points a game just on his shots, hits, blocks alone that sometimes you're like, did he score? No, he just had 8 hits and, 10 shots and 2 blocks, I go Adam Fox. I feel pretty good about locking up 3 top tier defensemen when the drafts go like this, and I can get 3 elite defensemen. I'm not upset about it. Dahlin, Yossi, Fox is my top 3 defensemen. I can kind of work around some of these other players, I think, and get some good value, but I'm happy with that. And then after Fox, we go DeBrincat at the 4-6, who I was contemplating. I think he's going to be due for another good 30 to 40 goals this year. We got our first goalie in Connor Hellebuyck going at 4-7, Nikolai Ehlers at the 4-8, and then Seth Jones at the 4-9. Ryan, any thoughts on Connor Hellebuyck going at the 4-7 this best ball?
Yeah, in a few of these Apples and Geno's best balls, we've seen Hellebuyck go in the 3rd round, even the 2nd round sometimes. But I think the 4th round is a pretty good spot to take him if you think he's going to do what he did last year, or if you think he's going to be the top goalie. I think the 4th round is fine. I think that in best ball, if you want to go 0G, you're still going to be in the 12th round. You're going to be kind of panicking, being like, oh, wait a sec, there's no starters left in this 12-team format where everyone's taking around 3 goalies. So I don't hate on taking a top goalie early. Hellebuyck is maybe the only one I would do in the top 6 rounds. So I don't hate it there. Brian, what do you think about goalies here?
I mean, I've bought into the narrative of 0G, so it seems like it's almost all new to me here, just trying to decide not taking a goalie here. We know Hellebuyck, what he did last year. Can he replicate that? We know he's capable. I don't think it's likely for him to have as good of a season as he did last year. He'll still have a good season, but I think just erring on the side of caution, there's still so much talent at the forward positions, defense. I think I would prefer a pick there, but to each their own. Of course, it'll be really interesting to see some of the other top goalies, what their bounce backs might be like this year. But yeah, I think I'm on board with you. If I'm looking at goalies, I probably won't want to pick them until after the 6th round personally. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see how the next 2-3 rounds go, because if everyone starts picking goalies, then I might panic and pick a goalie too.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, Ryan, you touched on it. Goalies are going to go a little bit higher here. And Brian, that was a good point as well. Looking into this year, Connor Hellebuyck was such head and shoulders above the rest of the goaltenders. I don't know that that's going to be the case this upcoming year. Like you said, it's an interesting point to look at some of these other goalies like Shesterkin, Sorokin, Jake Ottinger, some of these other elite goalies. Can they really put up an elite season kind of similar to Hellebuck. I don't think it's like a lock that he is for sure going to be the absolute best goalie year in, year out again. I think there's a case to be made for any of those guys, but we'll recap here after Connor Hellebuck at the 4-7. We got Nick Ealer, Seth Jones 4-9, Mikhail Sergachev 4-10, Kempe at the 11, Shea Theodore 4-12, Kevin Fiala at the 5-1, Tim Stutzla at the 5-2, Seth Jarvis at the 5-3. That was a great pick. Sniped. 5-4. I got Timo Meyer. Then we got Draisaitl coming up. Brian, what do you think some of these guys that are going here, some of these wingers like Kevin Fiala, Seth Jarvis, Timo Meyer getting into the 5th round here, those 3 players, where are you at on them? Who would you put as the head of those 3 players? I'm curious.
Honestly, I would probably put normally in terms of what I think for fantasy upside, I'd put Jarvis ahead of Fiala. But with left wing being so scarce, I think that's fine to take Fiala there. I think he had a very slow start to the season last season. If he can hit the ground running, we know second half Fiala is a real thing, but maybe if we can make a first half Fiala a thing as well, then that could go over really well. I love Kempe as a player. I think he covers a lot for fantasy. He's going to give you goals. He shoots a lot. He does hit. He blocks a little bit, not too much, but he does hit. So you're going to get all the points. So even if he's not scoring on a nightly basis, you're still going to be getting some points. I know to Ryan's point earlier, you're looking at some defensemen who are like Uyghur. You know, if he doesn't put up a point, he's going to still get you other points in other areas through the peripherals. So I like that with Kempe. I'm a really big fan of Stutzla. I know, was it 2 years ago? He had a really good year. Last year was all right, but I think he has more in him. And I would like to see him go, oh, you sniped me with Tuck. Tuck, great pick. Tuck blocks. That's huge. And we love that in this kind of draft. But let me quickly recap here. Oh,
Brian, I'll get the recap. You're coming up here, so you could think about it. But yeah, after we had Stutzla at 5-2, we had Seth Jarvis at 5-3, Timo Meyer, Konechny, Crosby, JT Miller, Evan took Alex Tuck, I took Thomas Harley, and then Dylan Genther went directly after me. So yeah, Alex Tuck. Brian hates that you sniped him. Evan, what are you seeing for Tuck?
I've drafted him in so many spots at this point, I can't even keep track. But Alex Tuck, contract year, the guy's an animal. He's going to get – I just have this feeling he's going to get on the top power play with Peterka being gone. He might get back to Tage Thompson, and I want to be in on that because, you know, even in this format, I think he was averaging like 5.9 fantasy points a game, and that was I would say like an average year for him. So I think he could definitely push higher, and I got that little Buffalo stack going now with Dahlin and Tuck, so I don't really hate it. I was looking at Dylan between him and Gunther. Gunther's somebody I do like, but I don't know that I would take him this high, even though his goal scoring is off the charts. Crosby getting taken, I was going to kind of get in on some 5th round Sidney Crosby. I don't hate that at all. Brian's coming up, and he's got these back-to-back picks. What do you think about Tuck? Ryan, hate on me a little bit on this pick.
No, I can't hate on you. I think his blocks and shots provide a nice floor where he'll still put up points for you. I'm a little weary on Buffalo as a whole. I do love Tuck, Thompson, and Dahlin, so can't hate on the pick there. I also was hoping for a little bit of Sidney Crosby or JT Miller as one of my first centers, but I'm happy to wait on centers. I think centers is very deep here. And then I was just reminded of an interesting point in these best ball leagues where in a given night, if you have, let's say, 4 players at right wing and 3 of them get points, only 2 of them are being counted for those points. And it made me think about players with like multi-point games versus more consistent players. So someone like Fiala and Kempe, they actually had a lot more instances of multi-point games and actually less consistency. So they had lower, more games with no points and more games with multi-points. Whereas someone like Stutzla, he was more of a consistent guy where he had a lower amount of games with multi-points, but more games with a point. And I think in this specific format, you would lean towards those inconsistent players because you want when they provide you the points, you want those bursts, you want those 2-point, 3-point games. And I thought that's an interesting point. And it's hard to say, is Fiala really an inconsistent guy? Maybe this year he'll be more consistent, but it's just an interesting point to bring out. What do you guys think of that?
Second half Fiala. No, I do like that take. In terms of like boomer bust players, getting that multi-point effort and then it counting towards your points for that night. I do like that. It's a great take. Great fantasy mind here. Coming up on your pick, Ryan. Brian, why don't you give us the recap here? Barkov for Hagee going with the Florida Panther stack.
Yeah. Again, I'm looking for I'll go with Barkov just because he's due. He's not due. He's bound to have a good year where he stays healthy, and I'm hoping that this might be the year. But I just didn't want to let Barkov go by, to be honest. And I'm okay with taking my first center as being Barkov. I think he's got a lot of upside. He does a lot. So I like that. Verhaeghe, he shoots a ton. If he can get back up to the first power play, that could help his production as well. But I don't think he needs the power play to put up good numbers. So I just like him for the shot volume and what he's going to do on that top line with Barkov there. So that's kind of why I went with those two.
I'm just looking at Barkov's games played totals, and it is wild. 67, 73, 68, 67, 50, 66. And then his last 82 game season was in 2018, 2019. So in a normal league, I might ignore that. But in this league, that scares me off. But it scared off plenty of people where you're taking him almost at the 6th round. And to get Barkov, a 90-point pace guy at the end of the 5th, like even if he misses some games, that's great. So
that's my rationale. To take a little bit of a swing. If he misses time, it's not going to be 20 game stints or 40 game stints. It might be a couple games here or there. And if he can make up for that when he does play, I'm okay with that.
And then after Verhaeghe, after you took Verhaeghe, someone took Jake Ottinger at 6'2", and then someone sniped me with Max Celebrini at 6'3". I was hoping to grab him as my first center, so it kind of forced my hand to go with who I see is on par with Connor Hellebuck in Andrei Vasilevsky. I will be happy to take this elite goaltender in the 6th round. I wouldn't take him in the 5th, but I'm happy to get a goalie that'll provide me some nice points every time he starts.
Yeah, I don't dislike that at all. Vasilevsky is definitely on par. If it wouldn't surprise me like that much if Vasilevsky this upcoming season has like equal to or better points than Connor Hellebuck, to be honest. Like Hellebuck is a great regular season guy, but last year was kind of like the top of the top for him. I really like that pick, and I agree with you, Ryan. I was sniped on Celebrini as well. I had him locked and loaded, although I do think that you were going to take him before me, so I had to kind of prepare for that as well. I go for Marchenko at the 6'5" after. I think he really has more to give in terms of his shots, in terms of his goal scoring potential, and Columbus to kind of figure it all out when everyone's healthy to start the year. I'm really looking forward to having him on a few of my squads this year. Lucas Raymond I did consider, and he went after Marchenko at the 6'6", then Robert Thomas at the 6'7", Jacob Chikrin at the 6'8", Dylan Holloway at the 6'9". Brian, any thoughts on any of those picks? What about Vazzy for Ryan? Grill him.
Yeah, 0G, right? 0G. No, Vasilevsky's a good pick. I'm just trying to decide where I want to pick a goalie, to be honest. So until I know, I can't really hate on it. Vasilevsky, I think he's good goalie, great goalie. He's going to get the load when it comes to the games, so you can always count on that. He can make a lot of saves. He can get shutouts, which is all the stuff we're looking for with this draft here. So
it looks like the guy who took Hellebuck at 4'7", Dream Killer. Looks like he said I sniped him on Vasi, so he was going to load up on 2 elite goalies if I didn't stop him there. He actually went with Rob Thomas instead, which is an interesting player. On Fan Tracks, their projections right now, they have him projected for 98 points, which is wild to me. What do you guys see for Rob Thomas? He got 81 in 70 games played last year, so that's like around a 90-point pace. But do you think 98 is possible?
I mean, for Robert Thomas, it is, but yeah, I don't know if I like St. Louis enough to say, yeah, he's a lock for 98 points. He doesn't shoot the puck, he's just all assists. So if someone else isn't finishing his passes, then yeah, where's he going to get that offense from? Obviously, all the offense runs through Robert Thomas, but I just don't like St. Louis enough to say, yeah, he's a lock for 98 points.
Well, I may have been corrected. It may be 93 points. All right. So it's not 98. Sorry, everyone.
I think, that is, I know it's only 5 points, but it is kind of a difference because I do think that Robert Thomas could have the ability to get to, I would say 85 to 90 if everything falls right for him. If St. Louis stopped doing the split power play and they just put him with Kyrou and Holloway, I think he probably could get there if he stayed healthy. But do I think it's possible for 98 points? That's a stretch for Robert Thomas on the St. Louis Blues. He is an incredible player though, and facilitator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like he's an amazing player. He's their superstar now. And I actually was wrong again, which 2 wrongs make it right in this regard. So they are projecting him for 98. I would take the under there if I was a betting man.
That's fair. After Robert Thomas, I'll just quickly recap here. It went Chychrun at the 6'8", Dylan Holloway, Nick Suzuki, Svechnikov, Scheifele at the 6'12", and then Mishkov to start round 7. Shesterkin, Bedard, Aho, Raquel, Dorofeev, Dougie Hamilton. Evan went with Mackenzie Blackwood, and then Ryan's up. So, I like the Mackenzie Blackwood pick. Obviously plays on an elite team. He's going to get the lion's share of starts there. But give me your thoughts on Blackwood.
Yeah, it's similar to a lot of my players. I drafted him in quite a few spots now because I think that him being the starting goalie for that dynamite offense and solid defensively too is just going to be good all around. I think he can be on par with some of those top goalies like a Jake Ottinger or Shesterkin. So getting him here as my first goalie, I don't hate at all. Got to compete with Ryan here when he's got Vasilevsky. I don't know that Blackwood gets close to Vasilevsky numbers, but might be close. I don't know if we recapped Did we recap kind of from Robert Thomas on? Okay, good.
Yeah, we did.
I was too focused on my Blackwood pick. And then after all this St. Louis talk, Ryan goes with Jordan Kyrou. He got inspired by my Robert Thomas talk. Tell us, Ryan.
Yeah, you guys inspired me on St. Louis. No, I was actually a little in a pickle here at this pick because I was sniped in this round. I had like 4 of those guys, Aho, Michkov, Shesterkin, and Blackwood were all in my queue, and I had to panic there a bit, and I took Kyrou. I am a little worried on Kyrou with his ice time going down with the new coach in St. Louis, but I think that his talent is undeniable, and you can't keep him away from top 6 minutes, top power play. I'm a little worried they'll split the power play again in St. Louis, but I think there's a good chance that they lean a little more onto like a first unit, and Kyrou would definitely be on that first unit. And then right after I took Kyrou, we had Elias Pettersson go at 7:10, which is pretty late, I think, for Pettersson. I was contemplating taking him, and I think that's a great spot for Pettersson.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just so leery on him because of what happened last year. I think his floor has got to be somewhere in the 60-point range, but his ceiling we've seen certainly before. I mean, this guy was going in the first 3 rounds, if not first round, in a lot of drafts several years ago. So I really can't hate on that pick. If only going back to Kyrou briefly, like if only St. Louis and Seattle ran a true top power play, can you imagine the value some of those guys would have? Like we'd be drafting a lot of these guys if we just got that guarantee, if we somehow got this information before all our drafts and then, we could lock it in. I think that would be a lot better.
Yeah. And I mean, it's possible. We had Chip Montgomery come in, in December of last year, and he's still stuck with more of a split, but there could be a change this year. We don't know. We don't know what he's thinking. And on the Pettersson note, I was reading a funny report today where he's like, he wants revenge for last season. That was the report that came out. So Pettersson might be a madman this season and get up there, but we'll see.
Yeah, where did you? I'm curious, Ryan. As Brian's making his second pick here, where do you have? What's your projections if you have him for Pettersson this year?
Yeah, I'll pull that up. I got him. Oh, that's D. Elias Pettersson. Yeah, they get mixed up
Same
now.
guy, right?
Yeah. So I got him. I have a pretty like mid projection for him at 70 points. I got him for 28 goals, 70 points, 180 hits, 105 hits, but 93 blocks. That's also a bonus in this format. I just don't think that Vancouver will change who they are as a team. They don't take a lot of shots. They don't generate a lot of chances. I think Pettersson's due for a bounce back here. 70 points is a big bounce back, but I don't see him getting 80 or 90 points. He's not doing that this season.
Agree. And so we can recap here. We got Pettersson at the 710, then Hyman at the 711, and then Brian, you go with Philip Gustafson at the 712, and then Brandon Montour at the 81. Tell us about these guys.
Yeah, Gus. I picked Gus just because obviously Minnesota's a great team in front of him. I like that. I like the defense that's in front of him. He's still going to get the lion's share of starts here. I know that they have a couple guys up and coming, but I think Gus is going to be relied on there. Brandon Montour, I really picked him. I was torn between him and Heiskanen, actually. I went with Montour just because of his shot volume. And there is still an upside for him to get a little more points in Seattle. We know Seattle and offense, they don't go well together, but hopefully this year might be a little different. But Brandon Montour, one thing he's not afraid of is shooting the puck, and that's going to go a long way for me. Want to make sure I shore up on some defense here as well. So that's why I went with Montour.
Yeah, can't dislike that at all. I think Brandon Montour, he really was the better option on the power play. I guess it's kind of, you want to see, it's similar to a lot of defensemen where you have the shooter and then the facilitator. And I think Brandon Montour is that shooter, and he's going to get those shots. He actually, in terms of like multi-point games, had quite a few of those. So can't hate on that. And then Ryan, I'll let you talk about my boy that you sniped, Dylan Larkin, as I get into my pick here.
Yeah, wearing a Dallas jersey, but I know you're a Red Wings fan, and just had to make sure you couldn't get on Dylan Larkin there. Larkin, I think at this point in his career, he's not such an exciting player. He's more, you know what you're going to get. He's going to get over 70 points. And on Detroit, a team that once they fired Lalonde and brought in Todd McClellan, they turned it around big time in terms of shot generation, and that top six should get the majority of the minutes, and their power play was amazing last year. So Larkin's going to be great as the number one center on that team. I like Detroit to continue what they did in the second half of last season.
Absolutely. And not to mention he shoots a lot, so that's going to help as well. Evan, you went with Nico Hischier. I love that pick. Talk to us about Hischier.
Love Hischier. I think pretty comparable to Larkin, actually. Hischier kind of showed this past year that he could be the scorer. There was a lot of times in various games where he took over and he was the one getting multi-goal games, not Jack Hughes. It was kind of weird. They almost like it'd be like one game where Jack Hughes would take off, then one game Hischier would take off. But it kind of seemed to me, and I don't have the stats to back this up, but I watched a fair amount of New Jersey games, and when it was crunch time, when it was overtime or they needed a game-tying goal, he was the one kind of firing the puck at the net. So yeah, I really like Nico Hischier. And then after that, we go Chucky McAvoy and then John Tavares, and then Matthew Tkachuk does go here in the 8th round, as we were kind of discussing off camera where he should go based on this injury status. Ryan, what are you thinking about 8th round Matthew Tkachuk?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't touch that with unknown news. If he misses half the games, that's a missing link in your team on right wing, and I think the 8th round isn't enough value there. I think if he misses half the games, I'd wait till like 13, 14, maybe in the 15th round. But again, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he didn't get surgery. Maybe he's not going to get surgery. And if he misses the first 10 games, boom, that's great value. So Dry Saddle is going to love that there.
Absolutely. And then, so after Matthew Tkachuk, we get Wyatt Johnson, Valerie Nichushkin, Nazem Kadri, Drake Batherson, John Carlson, Aiden Hill, Logan Cooley. You know who's somebody that I was looking at was Drake Batherson at the 8-12 here. Interesting player. I think with Ottawa, with what they do, it's kind of weird between their first two lines and their top six. If they only had a trio of Stützle, Batherson, Tkachuk, I think that could generate quite a bit more scoring and goals for them. Brian, what's your take on Drake Batherson and Ottawa this year?
I mean, I love Drake Batherson. I actually had him queued up. I was hoping maybe he would fall a little bit, a whole round later for me. But yeah, he can shoot. He can score. I like him on the top power play there as an option. I already mentioned this earlier, but I'm pretty big on Ottawa this year in terms of fantasy outlook. How they'll do in real life, that remains to be seen. But in terms of fantasy outlook, it looks pretty good. Big thing with Batherson, he plays a physical game as well. So as long as he can stay healthy, that's something to consider. Other than that, I like Batherson as a player and the output there for him.
Yeah, and it's I do think our fantasy managers, we want Batherson, Stützle, Tkachuk, please. Just make that the line, make that the top power play. But last season, he was playing with Dylan Cousins and David Perron to finish off the last season. He played with Tkachuk a few times. He played with Stützle a few times, but it didn't stick. I think if that does stick this year, eighth round, ninth round Batherson, you can get plenty of value there. He could put up over 70 points, close to 80 if that top line ever occurs.
It's a big if.
Absolutely. And then Erik Karlsson goes here at the 9-7 before my pick. I was considering him, and I do like that. I'm going to go with Matthew Barzal at the 9-8.
Oh, man.
I think that he could, in the 9th round here, we're looking at a player that has shown in his career he could be, 70-plus point player. Not too unhappy about that. Ryan, rip me apart. Keep the rivalry going here. I
am so mad at you. You took him right out of my queue. He was the only one in my queue. Great pick. Absolutely love it. I thought I was going to be so happy with Barzal in the 9th round, but you're going to be so happy with Barzal in the 9th round. I have a very big bounce back for him. He doesn't really shoot or hit or block a lot, but I think he's an efficient player and very skilled. So great pick there. Now I'm panicking.
I'll let you panic. Brian, did you happen to see the Matt Barzal? He shot like a hole-in-one in golf. I saw this on Twitter somewhere. And that tells me one thing, is that he's locked and loaded, man. He's ready to go.
Locked and loaded.
He's coming back this season, and I don't want to miss out on it, So I feel like that's a decent spot for him. What do you think? I think we've gone back and forth. Oh, man. I was going to say something, but I can't now. All I can look at is Darnell Nurse's bald head on my screen. The Eggman at 9-9 for Ryan with his panic pick after I snipe Barzal. But you know what? In this format, looking at his point projections with his hit and blocks, he's a pretty solid D-man. I don't really hate that pick as much as I want to.
Yeah. And I think I got a nice little shout out from Blake and his Edmonton projections. He did. I need to clear the air. He said I took him in the 5th round, which never occurred. Okay. In the points mock, that first points mock, it was the 9th round of Darnell there. So that's some slander there, Blake. Get your info right. And I'll be happy with the Eggman in the 9th round. I think he's great floor with hits and blocks and shots, and I do see him getting a bounce back in goals. He had a very low shooting percentage last year. He only had 5 goals, where he had 10 the year prior, 12 the year before that, 9 the year before that, and 15 the year before that. So I see an uptick there.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And it is funny. I did listen to that projection podcast today, and I heard the shout out, and I thought the same thing. I was like, wait, did he draft him that high? So of course a correction had to be brought up. But no, the Eggman has value with his peripheral floor, and like you said, his ability to potentially score more too. That was a funny shout out for sure. And then we got Jackson Lacombe at the 9-10, Rupe Hintz at the 9-11. Rupe Hintz is somebody I thought about targeting on the way back here for my second center. So that's a pretty good pick. listening to Nate and Blake's Dallas projections just had me thinking one thing, and that's I want to get a piece of Dallas somewhere. I think they're a team that can really put it together with the addition of Rantanen this year. That top line, I think, is going to get more minutes. And if you look at Robertson, Hintz, and Rantanen, there's a lot of speculation about, where's Rantanen's point ceiling going to end up, and J-Rob as well. Rupe Hintz kind of fits in there, though, and he's going later in these drafts as a center. But I think he could get like the 75-point range as a center, and I think that'd be pretty good. Ryan, tell me about Rupe Hintz. I know you're not big on Dallas, but the value here in the 9th round, where do you see that as good value for a center here?
Yeah, with Rupe, I'm a little more scared of him. You have the Finnish connection with Rantanen, and I don't know, maybe that'll form some chemistry. But I think Wyatt Johnston is the better player on Dallas. He's still young, and I think there's plenty of room to grow for him. But I would love to see Johnston up there with Rantanen and Robertson eventually. I don't know if they'll do that. So for that reason, I like Hintz, and because Johnston, he was playing with, Jamie Benn and Mason Marchment last year. So who knows what the new coach, Greg Gulletson, will do on Dallas this year. Will he turn the team around in terms of chance generation? Who knows? Will he give the top 6 minutes to the top 6? Who knows? I am a little weary on Dallas.
Yeah, no, it's Dallas all the way, man. That you guys hear their goal song, the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
I just hear it over and over in my head, and for that reason, I'm on Dallas. No, that's a good point about Rupe Hintz, because Wyatt Johnson is very clearly like the better player. He might be the best player on their team outside of Rantanen in terms of pure skill. And then if he continues to develop, he's so young, incredible rush player, finisher. He plays those shorthanded minutes too. He's an absolute workhorse. If they did put him up there, that'd be amazing. I just don't think they will. But get us in there to coach, Ryan, and maybe we could get him up there and make him more fantasy relevant. Brian, tell us about your picks. Vinny Trocheck after Rupe Hintz at the 9-12, and then Troy Terry at the 10-1.
Yeah, Trocheck, I like him. He covers a little bit of everything. So, again, to the point earlier, if he's not going to score, he's at least going to hit. He's going to block. That's pretty valuable in this league. He's going to shoot the puck. So that's really helpful. Also, there is like a possibility that he gets back up into the top power play. And obviously, he had his best year when he was on that top power play. So if he can get exposure to Panarin, maybe jump onto that power play 1, then that's going to go a really long way. So I like him there. The Troy Terry pick, honestly, I was panicking. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And I think Troy Terry's point ceiling is pretty high, so I took the chance with him there. Kind of torn between taking another left winger, but I already had a couple, so I think it might be a good idea to kind of even it out a little bit. So went with Troy Terry at the 10-1.
Yeah, it's and with these Anaheim players going, we had Jackson Lacombe at 9-10. And then you took Troy Terry. Anaheim leads the league in off nights. And I think this is a good point to bring up in these best balls, because you will get a lot more value if you get a lot more off nights in these best balls. If you have 3, let's say 4 right wingers, and Troy Terry is not playing on the same night as the other right wingers, you're getting all of Troy Terry's points. And you're getting more of those other right wingers' points. If they're all playing on the exact same night, you're only getting 2 of their points. And that's a point here. Michael Scott in the room over here, he says that he kind of messed up with 2 right wing avs. So who did he take there? He took Nichus and Nichushkin. Yeah, so they're playing on the same night every time they play. And so you're missing out. You're only going to get 2 right wings. There are 2 extra skater spots, but it's definitely valuable to pick off night players here.
I did the same thing without realizing I did it with the Barkov or Hagee, so I can't knock.
No, but that's a
fine,
different position.
Yeah, but that just like increased the likelihood that everyone else might be playing on the same night. So I don't like that. As soon as you guys pointed out, like, hey, 2 Florida guys, I was thinking to myself, oh crap, didn't want to do that.
No, I think that's fine. If it's a different position, I think it's totally fine. There is like a tiny bit of overlap in the skater, those 2 extra skater categories, but I think the only issue of taking the guys from the same team is when they're the same position.
Fair enough.
And yeah, just another point here. 18 skaters in the Discord. He made this amazing Excel sheet tool, which has like a matrix of off night schedules, or just a matrix of all games and how they line up with other teams. And you can really use that in these drafts to say like, oh, and let's say I have Darnell Nurse. He's on Edmonton. Okay, how much does Edmonton play on the same night as Seattle? And they actually play quite often on the same night. So Vince Dunn maybe wasn't the best pick for me, but that's a little strategy here.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Recapping a little bit, we got it went Troy Terry all the way back at the 10-1, then Sorokin 10-2, Tom Wilson at the 10-3. Ryan, you go Vince Dunn at the 10-4. I go Joel Eriksson at the 10-5. Gabe Velarde, Ivan Demidov, Fantilli, Shabbat, UC Saros, Gabe Landeskog. Going back to you, Ryan, real quick. Vince Dunn, tell us about Vince Dunn.
Yeah, Vince Dunn, I love what he was able to do on Seattle last year. Given that there's two number one defensemen, let's call it him and Montour, and they even split power play times. Dunn was injured, and he definitely has a lot of injury risk. But at this point, I think it's fine to take him here in the 10th round. I think he doesn't need a whole lot of power play time to provide value. I got him projected for 52 points, playing 76 games. So a little bit of injury risk here, and 18 power play points. Meanwhile, I have Montour getting 37 points with 11 power play points. So I do like Vince Dunn getting the inside track on the power play. Maybe they run 2D there. I think he's shown that he can't just be displaced by Brandon Montour.
I don't hate that. It's weird. Vince Dunn. I don't know if you guys do this, but I certainly do. It sticks in my head, and I brought this up on a prior draft. But do you ever have it where you have a certain fantasy player and something happens to you during that specific year? Maybe you have a ton of stock in them. Like, for example, Blake this past year had Marty Nikas everywhere. So he probably loves Marty Nikas. And maybe you won't take him at ADP this year like where he wants. But if something happens with a specific player during that year of your team, sometimes I end up avoiding him. So, for example, I go back to it. I made a terrible trade, traded Lane Hudson and Seth Jarvis for Vince Dunce, I'll call him. And because he didn't perform like a top 5 D man, like I was expecting for no reason, I lost that trade incredibly. So now, I'm down on Vince Dunn. But to your point, he's an incredible even strength player. If they could figure out the power play there, I do think that if they put Vince Dunn and Brandon Montour on the top power play, that'd be beneficial for them. Like, I feel like he could either of them could easily displace one of the other forwards too. Brandon Montour has got a great shot. Vince Dunn's a really good facilitator. So, Brian, thoughts on Vince Dunn?
Well, considering I took Brandon Montour, I'm bigger on Brandon Montour, guys. No, but it's a good point. I think, Evan, to your point, I think I was scared off a little bit of Dunn just because of what he did last year. And I was pretty surprised with the shot volume that Montour did. It shouldn't come as a surprise, but I just never really looked into him. So that's why I was kind of a little bit higher on Montour. And again, if they kind of figure out a power play, maybe it can be cohesive or helpful to the both of them. So might not be an issue at that point. But me personally, I'm bigger on Montour than Vince Dunn there. Let's just quickly
go for it.
Yeah, quickly recap because I think we missed a round. I think so. So after Vince Dunn went at the 10-4, went Joel Eriksson, Ek, Jeek. We got Velarde, Demidov, Fantilli, Shabbat, UC Saros, Gabe Landeskog, Luke Hughes, Nugent Hopkins, Zuccarello, Dustin Wolf, Darcy Kemper, Morgan Riley, Colton Parayko, Ryan Donato, Cutter Gauthier, Jared McCann, and Sergei Bobrovsky, I was looking to take on my next pick. I got to be a little quicker with these picks or something. Jeez.
And you're coming up.
Yeah. Any surprises, you guys?
No big surprises for me, other than I think Landeskog in the 10th. There's some question marks on what he's going to do this season. Can he be the guy he was early in his career and the guy he pretty much looked like in the playoffs? If so, that's still great value for him. But yeah, like Evan, what do you think about Landeskog in the 10th round? Would you take him? Were you looking around for Landeskog here?
Wasn't looking for him. If he would have fallen to me, I would have considered it at my left wing just because I don't have another left wing, so it would have made sense. But yeah, I am also, again, this is going back to last year. I drafted Landeskog, stashed him on my team. There was reports initially that he was going to be back at the start of the season, and then he was out the entire year until the playoffs. Now, he did look really good in the playoffs. My question is, with that procedure that he had in his knee, we know it was an incredibly rare procedure. It took him a long time to come back. He did play well for that playoff stretch, and he was physical during that, but can he hold up the entire season with that injury at his age, with the recovery? That's my big question mark. I do think he stays on the top line, top power play, which will be really good for him. I don't hate where he was drafted. I think, Ryan, we had some interesting picks kind of leading up to ours here too. I love Luke Hughes there. I love Nugent Hopkins, Zuccarello. I was actually looking at Kemper at the 11-4, got sniped there. And then I think we've talked about this briefly too, but what's your take right now, Ryan, quickly on Morgan Riley this season, now that Mitch Marner, at the top of that power play is going to be gone? Do you think they go back to Morgan Riley being the quarterback? And do you think he's due for kind of a bounce back?
Yeah, I think so. I think that Toronto is not going a 5-forward power play again without Mitch Marner there. So Riley is the guy there. He has been a little underwhelming running the power play in the past, but they have no one else. Every other defenseman there is a defensive defenseman on the Leafs, and I like Riley to get on that top power play and have a nice bounce back. And I think that we're getting him at great value here in the 11th round. 2 seasons ago was his big season, right? Yeah, 2 seasons ago he had 58 points in just 72 games with 21 points on the power play. So that's possible here if he remains on power play 1 all season. So I love it there. I also like Luke Hughes here. I was considering Luke Hughes instead of Vince Dunn. The reason I didn't take him was because his lack of peripherals. So he's only going to put up points in this format, have points counted for the games that he actually picks up an assist or a goal, I think, where I want all my D to have an opportunity to have points counted even when they don't put up a goal or assist.
It's a great point, and that's why you went with the Eggman in the 5th round, not the 9th round. Brian, let's get to your picks quickly. I'll recap. So I went Cutter Gauthier at the sorry, I'm pulling this up. Cutter Gauthier at the 11-8. Jared McCann goes to Ryan at the 11-9. Bobrovsky at the 11-10, who you wanted, Brian. William Eklund at the 11-11. And then you go at the 11-12. Jordan Binnington and Linus Ullmark getting 2 more goalies, which I don't really hate because now you're kind of set.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this. I went with Jordan Binnington because I like what Jordan Binnington can do, but I actually ran out of time, so that was an auto pick going for Ullmark. So I actually meant to take a right wing, so I missed that boat. I went to go select it, and it had already passed. So I guess that's on me. I'm a little slow tonight.
It happens to the best of us. Nate auto drafted Jeremy Swayman. It's historic at this point. So
yeah. Maybe the right wing will find his way back to you, unless it was Mark Stone. But don't say his name because maybe he'll find his way back to you.
Who knows? It wasn't Mark Stone. I'm not touching him.
You don't want the 60 games played?
No, I'd rather not. Not with this. Too much on the line. $5 is on the line here, boys.
That's true. And I think Ryan touched on it a few mocks ago, and I totally agree with him. I think Mark Stone's the guy that comes off that top power play with Mitch Marner's arrival. I don't think that they can handle taking Dorofeyev off, and I don't think they're going to run 5 forwards by taking Shea Theodore off. So, yeah, Mark Stone to me is a strange player to draft this year, and I don't think I'll be on him in a lot of spots. But then we go, so you got your auto draft Linus Ullmark, which honestly could have been worse. So I don't think you hate that.
That's
at
a great pick. He was.
I thought it was a legit pick. So yeah, that was really good. And then we got Wallman after that. Jake Wallman at the 12-3, Bo Horvat at the 12-4. I go Jacob Markstrom at the 12-5. Tippett at the 12-6, Morgan Geekie at the 12-7, Quentin Byfield at the 12-8, and Anthony Stolarz at the 12-9, which is a really great pick. Going back briefly, Ryan, to you, Bo Horvat at the 12-4, trying to get in on my Barzell, huh?
Yeah, I think Bo Horvat is one of these guys who, he's dropping because he's a center, and I like the value here. I think he's got a pretty good floor. He's not exciting, and those are players that I like to draft in this best ball format. The players who I know are going to put points forward, and he got only 57 points last year. I'm not too confident in the Islanders and a bounce back, but I think 30 goals, 60 points is good for Bo Horvat here, and we'll have fine value in the 12th round. Were you hoping to make the stack, Evan? Were you looking at Bo?
No, but I do think he's a great pick here in the 12th round, especially for center, like you said. He's a guy that can generate a lot himself, even without Barzal, and I think we saw that because he was pretty much the head of the entire Islander offense last year. And if you go back 2 years, back when Noah Dobson had his breakout, it was him, Horvat, and Barzal on every point that team scored. So I really can't hate on it. I do love some of these picks after that too. Brian, I'm curious to see what you think on some of these, like Owen Tippett, Morgan Geekie. You can kind of recap after the Anthony Stolars at 12-9. But what are your thoughts? Any of these guys sticking out to you?
Yeah, I do like Owen Tippett. We know he's a chucker, and you got to get points every single which way you possibly can. So he hits, he'll shoot the puck. That gives you some points. If he does increase the shooting percentage, if some pucks end up finding their way in, that's going to be really valuable there. Morgan Geekie, he's going to be locked to Pasternak, which is really nice. Byfield, we've talked him to death. A breakout is imminent every single year until it does happen. So that could be a great pick as well. And then a couple of, and then Doughty, God damn it. Doughty goes a 13-2. I got to reflect here. Okay. Stolars went at 12-9, and Gosper at 12-10, Ekblad at the 12-11, Marchessault 12-12, Hurdle 13-1, Doughty, and then Marchand at that 13-3. As you can imagine by my reaction, I was in fact looking at Drew Doughty possibly drafting him.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it didn't give it away. Yeah, I think Drew Doughty is a good pick here. I know that Brent Clark is, he will be the one to replace Doughty, but I don't think it's ever going to happen until Drew Doughty's wheels actually officially fall off. So I like Drew Doughty here at the 13-2.
And so this guy's hating on our hate. He says Stone is winning me this pool. Book it. Is Stone going to play 80 games? If so, sure. But I don't know if he's going to play 80 games.
That's a tough bet. I wonder what the odds are if we could get DraftKings on that to give us some plus money on a Stone 82 game season. What do you think? I'm putting it up plus 8,000.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. After protests, I think we recapped Kreider at 13-4, protests 13-5. Toffoli goes at 13-6, and then right before Evan, we have Karel Vejmelka at 13-7, who I was eyeing here because I do like Utah's off-night schedule, especially how it lines up with Tampa Bay's, and I had Vasilevsky, so I'm a little mad there. I was hoping to take Karel, my boy, but he gets sniped.
That's tough. And I will tell you, it was Toffoli that I was actually eyeing before. So he's gone. I like his exposure with Celebrini. Doesn't score too much, but, there's still a chance he gets some good stuff. And then Evander Kane, I did have in my queue, but I was hoping to fade him a little bit more. So, Evan, I love that pick there with Evander Kane. You don't know what he's going to be doing with Vancouver, but it's a great option. And, guys, I don't know if you noticed this, but I'm pulling up this comment here. I don't know if you know it, but Cody Ceci is still available. You got to keep your eyes out for him. Okay.
Ryan's going to get him back at the turn, coming back paired with the Eggman.
No, I was hoping for the 16th round, Cody Ceci. He ruined it.
and Blake will comment on the next projection show how you took Cody Ceci in the third round.
In the third round.
We kind of touched on it already, but James bringing this up in the comments. Am I missing something on Matthew Tkachuk round 8? We've kind of talked about his injury, potentially keeping him out. We really don't know what's going to happen with him. So it leaves a lot of fantasy managers weary about that. I'm curious, Ryan, rip me apart. I'm going to go after you first with your Frank Vatrano pick, but then you come at me for the Evander Kane. So Frank Vatrano is a chucker. I believe he provides some hits as well. I'm just curious where he ends up. He's still going to be, in my mind, in the top 6. I think he ends up on PP2, but that shouldn't matter as much. But those off nights are going to be good, as you kind of outlined earlier. I remember Frank Vatrano 2 years ago going super high, back when they didn't have, Carter Gauthier and all these guys to throw up in the top 6. So where are you landing on Frank Vatrano? And then rip me apart for Evander Kane.
Yeah, that was the nicest ripping apart of my pick I've ever heard. Pretty much complimenting it.
Easing into it.
Yeah. So yeah, Vetrano, I'm not making any big calls here on him doing better than he did last season. I think he's a middle six forward on Anaheim now, and on the second power play unit. I'm counting on the second power play unit to still get a decent amount of minutes. Although it's a new coach, who knows? Maybe he just runs a full top unit. But with his peripherals, with his blocks, even hits and shots, and his off nights. His off nights are the big reason I'm drafting him here. At left wing, he'll be my fourth left wing, but he doesn't share a lot of nights that he plays with my current left wings. And if he's playing alone in a night, I'm getting all the points from him. So even if he gets 2 shots, a hit and a block, that's great. It just adds to my tally, where if I took someone like who's someone who doesn't play on off nights, Brad Marchand on Florida, if I took him, he's playing on the same nights as Hagel, Forsberg, and McCann, and it's unlikely that my Brad Marchand points are even going to count in this format. So it's the off night picks for me on Vetrano, and that's actually another reason I like Vancouver as well. So I don't hate your pick of Evander Kane too much. I think it's a similar pick where he's going to shoot a lot, he's going to hit a lot, and if he scores some goals, that's great. And I think the off nights are a big boost here.
Yeah, we basically picked the same player on different teams, which is funny as I'm trying to rip into Frank Vetrano / complimenting him at the same time. We make the equilibrium pick there, but it's weird. So Fantrax has Evander Kane in this format projected for an insane fantasy points per game, but I don't know that he is a for sure lock on that top power play over, Jake DeBrusk, Connor Garland. So it is going to be interesting. I think he is going to be a value in a lot of drafts, including best balls in the later rounds like this. But so after Frank Vetrano here at the 13-9, we got Will Cooley at the 13-10, all very similar players. Mika Zibanejad at the 13-11, which I don't dislike. It's only the fact that he is center only that I don't like. And then Brian, you go Neil Pionk at the 13-12 and Yaroslav Slavkovsky at the 14-1. Tell us about those.
Yeah, guys, I think I goofed again. I picked 2 Florida guys, and then I just picked 2 Montreal guys. I gotta someone's got to stop me here. But no, I go with Neil Pionk. I like how he plays in Winnipeg. He also covers all the peripherals all the time. He's like Eggman light, and I like that this deep into the draft. I need some defense, so I feel fine going with Pionk. If Morrissey does get hurt, then he's an option there. Oh my gosh! And I also have Morrissey. I'm killing myself this draft.
Wait, hold on. Again, yes, Slavkovsky. Again, different position from Caulfield. I think that doesn't hurt you at all.
Morrissey
Although
Pionk?
the Winnipeg stack.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
What the? I don't know, guys. I'm off tonight. Let me tell you. To
be fair, I was debating Pionk in 13, and I was like, oh yeah, Pionk, he'll come to me in 14. So you sniped me there. So good job, even though he plays on all the same nights as Morrissey. I think maybe you just have to draft an extra D. Just make sure you get 7. I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's difficult. You're going through it and you're trying to find the best value, and you don't realize again, that type of thing. I'll say, yeah, we've said it before. Neil Pionk was a league killer last year. I don't understand where this guy came out of the woodwork. He's a perennial 30-point defenseman, and then he was, he's second line or second pair, second power play, and he was putting up sometimes point per game numbers. Crazy. Slavkovsky's still going to bang and shoot and be on that top power play, so I do not hate that, Brian. And then we got Patrick Kane after that, the 14-2. I think that's a phenomenal value in the 14th round here. Sam Montembeault and Thatcher Demko for Ryan, and I do really love that. I wouldn't say he sniped me, but I was looking at him. He was in my queue.
Yeah, and again, at this point in the draft, I'm really using shout out to 18 Skaters. Check him out. He makes a bunch of awesome tools. He made this schedule matrix where it's not just looking at off nights, it's looking at who plays on the same nights as what other teams. And when I'm looking at Tampa Bay, because I have Vasilevsky, Vancouver only plays 45 of their games on the same nights as Tampa Bay, whereas someone like Nashville plays 61 of their games. So I want to not have overlap on same nights here. So Demko is going to be great as long as he is healthy, which I think he is, because that's what the team is saying, and the team just paid him $8.5 million. So hopefully he's healthy.
Don't dislike that at all. And then after that, we got Demko. Then I went Jonathan Huberdeau, Steven Stamkos, Romanov, Brock Besser, I think is really good value here in the 14th round. Anders Lee as well, Logan Thompson. Brian, I want you to rip me apart on my Jonathan Huberdeau pick and tell me how he's not going to get back to 115 points, because I'm going to get duped with this every season until he retires.
Yeah,
Listen.
Evan took Huberdeau in the second round.
Yeah, that's right. 115 points. Book it. Yeah, no. Huberdeau, he doesn't, I don't know. Huberdeau, one year he was with Kadri, it didn't work. And then last year they were with Kadri and it did work. So who knows, kind of a coin flipped at this point. He's definitely not going to get back to 100 points. He's not a point per game player. Yeah, I don't know. I like at this point, 14 onwards, you're kind of taking swings. Like there is an upside to him as long as he has exposure to Kadri there. I think Kadri runs the offense there. So yeah, that could look all right.
Yeah, Logan Thompson as a goalie, I still go back to this. Like those numbers last year were incredible. Do either of you guys think, Ryan, I'll start with you. Do you think he gets back to those numbers, or do you think at this point, the 14th round, I think that's a great value. But what do you think about Logan Thompson? Has he proved anything to you?
I think he's definitely proven he's pretty consistent. I don't think he will get enough starts. I think Washington went with the timeshare with him and Charlie Lindgren last year. I think they'll continue to do so. Thompson had an insane streak and then was the second highest odds of the Vezina conversation for a bit, and then he fell off a bit back to life of what he is, which is a great top 15 goalie, I think. So I think that's what he is. I think that he won't get enough starts to really be amazing in this league, but in the 14th round, we're slim pickings on goalies now. And that's why my point about 0G, this is when, if you didn't take goalies early or you waited to take your first goalie here, you're looking and you're saying, oh, Logan Thompson, he's only going to get 45 starts. Who do I got now? Do I got Joey Dacord? That's actually a pretty good pick. I like Joey Dacord. But you might be starting to panic here and really being forced to pick goalies here in the 14th round, unless you're really strong at 0G and you're saying, no, I'm waiting until round 22, 23, and 24 for my 3 goalies, which it's really hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's an interesting take because of this. Like you said, during these best balls, you can't be using the waiver wire like we like to do here at Apples and Ginos to get our goalies. 0G strategy, you got to ride with the ones that you pick all year. So they will tend to go a bit higher, and we've kind of seen that. I got sniped here. We look at Joey Dacord was the pick at the 15-1. Then Tony D and Cam Fowler, both on my queue. I'm going to be absolutely drowning.
You haven't taken a D since the 4th round.
Well, after you stole the Eggman from me, what am I supposed to do? He goes in the 5th round. I'm floundering. But no, I felt this is exactly why I tried to lock up my top 3. I think my top 3 can kind of carry me a little bit. I am going to have to look into it now. So I'll throw it back to you, Brian. What do you think? I'm curious what you guys both think about Tony D going into this season. I think he could provide value, especially at the spot in the 15th round here. What's your projection, Brian and Ryan, on him?
Yeah, I mean, you had him on your queue. I had him on my queue. I think he does provide a lot of offense, or I guess as much offense as you can on the island there. But I think he's definitely got some value in terms of his offense. He'll be running that power play. So especially in the 15th round, I'd take a shot on Tony DeAngelo all day. Or sorry, Tony DeAngelo, right?
Yeah, and D are flying off the board here, and I think what I have 4D. Evan has 3D. Brian, you got only 3D as well, and we're looking at 40-point potential defensemen being taken here. And my goal is to grab 7 defensemen in this league. So I'm looking here and I'm like, okay, am I gonna reach for this upside swing or a floor guy? I think one guy that I was sniped on, other than Noah Hannafin, which Evan just sniped me on, Alex Romanov. I think he was taken a bit early, but I actually
7.
like it there. Dream Killer took Alex Romanov. He's not gonna get top power play time, but he was just given a huge new contract. I think he's gonna be top 4 D pairing for them, and he's gonna put up a monster amount of blocks and a nice amount of hits as well, and that will provide a great floor where every game he plays, he's gonna give you at least three fantasy points if he doesn't get any other points, and he'll just add to that tally. So I like him there. And then I do like Noah Hannafin, and I can't take him. So good job, Evan. Tell me why you like Noah Hannafin.
Yeah, I was kind of, as we brought up, I was looking at D, and I got sniped on a few of them in this round. I was going back. I was looking at Romanov, Devon Taves, D'Angelo, Cam Fowler. All of these guys went, so I had to kind of filter through here. Noah Hannafin, if you look at his stats, like he did pretty good. He had double-digit goals. He had over 100 shots, 100 blocks last season. I think that Shea Theodore has proven he's not the healthiest of guys. If he goes down, then Noah Hannafin runs that top power play. And when that happened last year after the 4 Nations, that power play didn't miss a beat, and Noah Hannafin actually ate there. So I can look for him to get some decent peripheral floor and probably looking at like a 40-point defenseman. So really don't dislike him there. Trying to recap a little bit here too. So after Tony D'Angelo and Cam Fowler, 15-2, 15-3, we get Travis Sanheim, Stuart Skinner, Pavel Buchnevich, Spencer Knight, Noah Hannafin, Ryan, you go Dylan Strome, Larry gets Kiefer Sherwood, and then we get Lehkonen with Brian on the clock. I'll throw it to you, Ryan, again on Dylan Strome. What are you thinking about him for this year?
Yeah, I'm just really happy with the early draft Ryan and how he didn't take any centers. So good job, Ryan, in the first 7 rounds for not taking any centers, because now I get to have potentially a point per game center in the 15th round. And I'm super happy about that. So I think there's plenty of value here as centers. Dylan Strome also on Washington, which has a pretty good off night schedule. So I do see Washington regressing a lot this year in terms of their wins as well as goals scored. So I don't think Strome will get 82 points again. But in the 15th round, I have him getting 74 points still. Not a lot of peripherals, although he does get a decent amount of blocks. I got him for 54 blocks. So very happy in the 15th round. And then right after Dylan Strome, Larry takes Kiefer, the Beefer Sherwood, hoping that 10 hits a game provides a nice floor. Maybe 20 hits a game. Who knows? Is he going to go for 1,000 hits this year?
He's an animal. Brian, I have to bring this up just because I saw the comment from D. Anderson, and I was like trying to hold in my laughter. So he goes, Brian picked D, and then he goes, DeMello from the Jets. Trolling you a bit here live, but
that's awesome.
Gives me a good laugh, and I'll let you recap into your picks here, Brian.
That's hilarious. Hey, DeMello from the Jets. That's a great idea. Maybe I'll pick him next time if he's not picked. Really going for the Winnipeg stack here. No, I'm just, it's funny you should bring that up because I'm looking at my picks and I took almost the whole time because I was going through my team 3 or 4 times to make sure I don't have anyone already on Columbus or Carolina, which is hilarious. So, yeah, go ahead with Kent Johnson. I think he's a lock for power play 1. So I think he's got a lot of upside. My only concern with Kent Johnson is he's not very physical. So will he be able to play a whole season? We'll have to wait and see. And then Nikishin, I like his peripheral. I like the opportunity that he might get the chance to go in power play 1 as well. So yeah, why not? I'll shoot my shot with Nikishin and hope for the best. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, these 3D that just came off the board are so interesting. You took Nikishin, and then we have Zeev Weem on Minnesota, and then we have Zane Parekh on Calgary. So these are all rookies who have potential to, go off and get power play 1 and possibly get 45, 50 points. Or maybe they don't even make the team. So it's
sniped into oblivion for me.
Yeah. Were you looking, Evan? Were you looking at one of those, D?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been well documented in many of our mocks now that I'm very high on Buyam. I just think that Brock Faber is a defensive defenseman, and they have don't tell me that Jared Spurgeon can run a top power play, because it's just not true. And the guy can't stay healthy either. I love the fact that he's like 5'5", made the NHL, and he's had a good career, but he's not the top power play option with Kaprasov and Boldy out there. So yeah, Buyam, very good. Perek, I'm not sure, because I still think they're going to get Mackenzie Weegar that spot. But it's still good shooting your shot there. And then you go with Sam Bennett, another great center option this late, Ryan.
Yeah, Conn Smythe winner, just got paid almost as much as Sam Reinhart. And with the Florida Panthers, I see a lot of potential injuries. Matt Tkachuk maybe not playing half the season. Barkov hasn't played more than 67 games in a season in a very long time. And Florida, being the team they are, they're not going to care about regular season wins other than to get into the playoffs, because they know that they could dominate the playoffs. So I think they'll rest their guys if their guys aren't 100%. And that's where Sam Bennett can be shot up to the first center spot and top power play spot and really improve on what he can do. And I think even if that doesn't happen, he's got such a high floor with his shot generation, hit generation, where 45 points, 50 points is fine here in the 16th round to get.
So Ryan, what do you think? Who has a better chance of getting on power play one? Do you think Sam Bennett or Verhaeghe?
I think Verhaeghe has the better chance. He's more of that peripheral shooter or that point shooter, and I think if Ekblad isn't there, because Ekblad is a similar player, but he's a righty, I think Verhaeghe takes that spot. I do think that Florida made some interesting calls with the power play. They put Bennett and Samoskevich on that top unit with Barkov, Reinhart, and Seth Jones, I believe. And that was an interesting setup with when Matt Tkachuk wasn't there. So who knows? What do you think? Are you very confident in Verhaeghe getting back on that power play one?
Very confident, no. But I picked him because I just want to stack all the Florida players. No, I picked him because I'm also very confident in his 5v5 production. So that's why I kind of felt pretty good about that pick there. But if he gets on the power play, that's a big bonus, and I think he'll be skyrocket his point production there. So yeah, I don't really know what Florida's going to do. And to your point, they can do anything during the regular season, because all they got to do is make it, and they know they can dominate the playoffs. So they won't rush anyone back into anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. And Evan, you took Freddie Anderson. I was looking at potentially at my third goalie. I didn't fall in love with anyone on the board. So Freddie Anderson over Kochetkov, who still is available. What do you think for Freddie this year?
I'm a big Freddie guy. This is the key, though. When he's healthy, he is one of the best goalies in the league. But that's the key, when he's healthy. So it was kind of a risk. Betting on a healthy Freddie Anderson the entire year is a risk. And even if he is, I still think in my mind, it goes 60-40, because they were doing kind of like a one game for him and Kochetkov. Kochetkov, to me, is a very strange goalie, because he plays in that system with Carolina, is very good defensively, and they get a ton of shots, and they control the play, and they dump the puck in. But I've seen Kochetkov single-handedly lose games for the Canes, and I had a few shares of him last year, and he would just he's a very aggressive goalie at times. I want to be in the goalie room with him and be like, dude, just stay in your net, please. Just stay in your net. Because they would have complete control of the puck, and then he's doing this diving poke check or flying out of the net for no reason. If he stopped doing that stuff, I'd have a lot more faith in him. But I do like the Carolina system in general, and I feel like Freddie here is a good third option. I just really hope he stays healthy.
And we all know you're going after more D, because you only got 4. Do you think you would, with Freddie being such a question mark with his health, are you going to look at a 4th goalie, or are you happy with 3 now?
Remains to be seen. I don't want to be sniped here, Ryan, live on stream. But that is something I may consider. But yeah, man, that 3 rookie D-man run really threw me off because I was looking at both Parekh and Bouillon, but I was happy to get Freddie. It was between him and then another not to be named goalie that I'll leave off the board. But I'll recap here. So we got Lafreniere after Freddie at 16.6, Nick Schmaltz on 16.7, Dylan Cousins at 16.8, Matt Coronado on 16.9. Matt Duchene at 16.10 is pretty good for a center in the 16th round, considering his point totals. And then we got Renzel at 16.11, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen at 16.12, Chris Letang at 17.1, John Gibson at 17.2. Chris Letang is somebody of interest to me this late in drafts for a defenseman, but of course he goes. Brian, I'll throw it to you. Any of these players sticking out that were just drafted in this range?
I mean, Matt Duchene, how can you not love him? Like, Matt Duchene this late in the draft could be a lock. Actually, we don't know if he's locked, but I think will play on top power play in Dallas. Yeah, I love Duchene there. Coronado's due for a little bit of a breakout as well. He's just praised for it, primed for it. I like that. Lev Shunov, I'm not too sure. I don't really know what they're going to be doing on the power play really in Chicago. I think he did play a little bit there. I did like him there, but it'll be interesting to see what they do in Chicago. I just feel bad for Bedard having to deal with all that.
Sam Renzel went right before Lev Shunov, and actually that made the 16th round an all rookie defenseman round. All 4D picked were rookie defensemen in the 16th round. So that's exciting. But yeah, I do think Sam Renzel has the inside track on that top power play, but I think they will not be shy to try all options and see what they have in all players. So I don't think anyone will be a lock, and I don't think anyone that's a great pick there, Evan. That was a great pick.
There's nothing better. It's like that top comment. I'll bring it back up again. I mean, we're just here for the popcorn, man. You don't know it, but I have your list right next to me here, and I just keep looking down and saying, no, I'm just kidding. I listened to Nate and Blake's, projections on the Chicago stuff as well. I think they were split on who was going to take over that top power play in Chicago. If it were me, I actually think Lev Shunov has the inside track only because he had it a little bit last year. And I think he probably has a little bit more offensive upside, but that remains to be seen. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And then when you're drafting these guys, it's kind of such a crapshoot because then you're like, well, if one gets on and the other's not, it's, kind of nukes their value in a way. But he was in my queue. I got sniped by him or by Acer here. And then after Lev Shunov, we got Brock Nelson at the 17.4, Bjorko Chekhov at the 17.5, Marco Rossi 17.6, Askarov at the 17.7 with Reese's Pieces. I go Sean Monahan at the 17.8, and you go Mike Matheson, who was in my queue as well, Ryan, so I was considering him.
I wish you took him instead of Monahan. Yeah, I was like, I had Monahan left in my queue only, and I'm like, oh yeah, he'll be there. Let's talk about the Chicago power play now and not worry about anything behind that. So yeah, I love the Monahan pick there in the 17th round. I think Monahan really took a step and came into his own last year in Columbus, and I think we can consider him the top C there. So really, you should be really happy about that pick. I'm really sad I missed out on him there. Matheson, I'm forced into a defenseman here. I don't see him putting up a lot of offense. I think with Dobson coming in and with Lane Hudson, he is possibly off of power play 2 even. I'm hoping with this pick he is still on power play 2. And he'll put up lots of blocks, and he's still quite the shooter. So I think he's got a fine floor if he puts up close to 30 points.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Brian's coming up on his pick, so I'll kind of let him focus in on that so he doesn't take Dylan DeMello. But we got Ivan Barbashev going after that. Mike Matheson, such a sad story because he really is a good player, both defensively and offensively. He's got a great shot. He can drive the play. He's a good rush player. And again, he held it down defensively while Lane Hudson's allowed to do his little fake the pass back, sprint up into the offensive zone. I kind of almost wish they moved him so he could be like a top power play quarterback somewhere else. But yeah, I think in the 17th round, you could do a lot worse on defense. I really like that pick.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know. Like he was always a guy who was basically a nothing guy. He was like bottom pair for a few years, and then like just a top four with no power play time. And then once he finally was given an opportunity on power play one on like a bad Montreal team, that's where he broke out. It was just like 3 years ago. He had 34 points in 48 games.
Yep.
And then the year after that, 62 points in 82. So it's just those 2 seasons where he has really shown to be that like number one guy. But I don't know. I think that was just the opportunity there. I think it was because no one else was there. I don't think even if he gets moved, let's say he gets moved to like Chicago, they're still going to look at Rinzel and look at Levshinov on power play one. And in San Jose, they have a young guy like Luca Cagnoni there, and now John Klingberg. So, yeah, I think Matheson got lucky with the opportunity the last 2 years. But yeah, given he is a block and shot guy, it's fine here in the 17th round. I'm not so excited about him though.
I mean, he could easily get mid-30s, low 40 points with good peripherals. So, like you said, it's fine. I don't know. Like, it just goes to show, to your point, and I agree with it. If a certain player is given the opportunity, even if they're not this elite talent, if they get the minutes and the opportunity, they can do something with it. So it's something to look out for in fantasy in general. And then after that, again, Barbashev, Rasmus Anderson, who I also was looking at. We get Brian going with Evgeny Malkin at the 17-12, and then Jake Neighbors at the 18-1. Talk to us, Brian.
Yeah, I thought it was a little too early still to draft DeMello, so I'll wait till the next turn. So
you got time.
Yeah, I still got time. I don't know if he's on anyone else's radar. No, I went with Malkin because obviously I know he's on the decline, but I think you can still guarantee he's going to get around the 50, 60 point mark. He'll be on that top power play, still capable of putting the puck in the net. So I like Malkin here. I needed a third center at that point. And then Jake Neighbors, I was actually torn between a couple of guys here, but ultimately I went with Jake Neighbors really just because he's typically healthier than the other guys I was looking at. And in this situation, we really want to take that consideration, especially this late in the draft. So he definitely has it in him. And what's really nice is I don't have anyone else on St. Louis aside from my goalie. So I guess I do have someone else on my goalie. I guess I have someone else. So I'm going with doubling up on every team, I think, this week around. So those are my choices.
Yeah, and I'm learning from Brian's mistake here, taking Neil Pionk and Josh Morrissey, where I have 2 guys in my queue, and I would love to take them here, but I do think that because they are on the same team as another guy at the same position on my team, I do think it hurts their value at least like 2 rounds lower if they were to be on my team, because they're playing 82 games on the same night as someone else on my team. And so I just can't draft them here, but there's 2 guys in there that I'll talk about them when they get drafted.
Make sure you do. You got to point it out.
Yeah. Brant Clark, right? How you feel about him, Evan?
You know, again, I feel like I'm just saying the same names over and over, but I'm high on Brant Clark. So we looked at those 5, I guess, if you count Rinzel and Levshinov, with Parekh, Bouillon, Nikishin. I think Brant Clark's kind of proven more than any of them that he can handle a top power play role if given the opportunity. He had a lot of multi-point games last year when Drew Doughty was out. The question remains, are they going to keep Drew Doughty on that top power play, or can they give Brant Clark some more sheltered, second, third pair minutes with top power play, and he goes off for 40, 50 points, getting a lot on the power play. I'm pretty high on him. If he gets the opportunity, it's going to be very good. But it's certainly possible Drew Doughty stays on that top power play and whittles away. But I really like your pick before me. You kind of sniped me back here, Ryan, with Cole Perfetti at right wing, because he's going to get that top power play spot in Winnipeg with the departure of Nikolai Ehlers. I took him in a few of our other drafts. I really like that pick of yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the compliment. That's very nice of you.
No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, and then I do think he will get that power play 1 spot. I don't think it's locked in, but I think it makes sense for him to be there. And if he does, and all things go well, again with Winnipeg, they were very efficient last year. They all shot super high shooting percentage, so I do have them coming back down to earth. So I have Perfetti. What do I have? Having a great season on power play 1, getting 21 power play points and 56 points. So yeah, high on him.
Not bad at all. And then, so after Brandon Clark, I took at 18.5. We got Philip Hronik going at the 18.6, Pierre-Luc Dubois at the 18.7, Brock Faber at the 18.8, Elias Lindholm at the 18.9, Connor McMichael at the 18.10, who I like in a lot of spots too, Mason McTavish at 18.11 with those Anaheim off nights. So yeah, a lot of good players still left here. I don't think it's too early, Brian, to be thinking about Dylan DeMello or others. I think we're in the perfect spot.
Cody Ceci?
Cody Ceci is Cody Ceci season. We got Andrei Kuzmenko going at 18-12. I think he's going to stick on that top line, top power play. Kuzmenko has shown, obviously, in Vancouver, when given that opportunity, he can produce. And near the end, when they consistently had him top line, top power play, he did pretty well. So I do not dislike that pick. Brian, what do you think about Kuzi?
Not a fan. Just look at, he keeps getting traded. I swear, every other year, this guy's on the move somewhere else. So that tells me he doesn't really gel with the coaching staff. I don't know what it is, but yeah, aside from that one season he had with Vancouver, what was it, 74 points in 81 games? I don't know. He just can't find some consistency. I do like the fact that he did play a lot of last year with the Kopitar and Kempe line, which is nice, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan on Kuzmenko. But I am a big fan of Dylan DeMello, so hopefully.
Fair enough. Ryan, how about you on Kuzmenko?
Yeah, I disagree a bit. I think, there might be something wrong with his character, but when he got to the Kings last year, he was a lock on that top power play, and a lot of I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting him to be, up and down the lineup, maybe power play too, but he was right there. Even when they weren't doing so well in that power play, they were trotting him out with Kopitar, Kempe, Fiala, and whichever D is gonna take that spot. So I like Kuzmenko here. I think he has some upside. I do think his floor is a little lower, where maybe he gets traded and plays in the KHL. Who knows?
Real possibility.
It's a good point. We got then after Kuzmenko at the 19-1, we got Will Smith, great pick at the 19-1. John Klingberg at the 19-2. I remember 2 years ago when he was on the Leafs, I was projecting him to be top power play quarterback over Morgan Riley, and that did happen for the first 5 games until he got that hip. I think it wasn't it the same as a Patrick Kane type thing, the hip resurfacing surgery, and he was out for the season. But I'm curious to see how he does on San Jose here. And then Boone Jenner goes at the 19-3. I really love Boone Jenner, and I think that's a great pick in that spot. And Ryan, Brian, I'll throw it to you because Ryan's got his pick after me as I'm looking around here.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to quickly recap, Klingberg, then Jenner, Norris, Lankinen, Zellweger, and Zucker. What's interesting is when I thought Klingberg, going back to that pick there, was going to be absolutely horrible. But as soon as he went to Edmonton, he was actually pretty good. So it'd be really interesting to see how he is with San Jose. Obviously, he'll probably – actually, I don't know. He might be the power play quarterback there. Could look really good. I love that Boone Jenner pick. I actually did want to pick him even though I already have Kent Johnson. I'm going through a trend where I'm doubling up on everyone. So I had my own Boone Jenner. The only thing that scares me off of Boone Jenner, same with Norris, as you can imagine, is the health. Because I thought Boone Jenner actually played a lot more hockey than he has. But just pulling it up, his health, 26 games, 58, 68, 59, 41. That's not great. I hope this year might be different. What are your guys' thoughts on Boone Jenner and Norris? I guess, Evan, I'll ask you.
Yeah. So, Boone Jenner, I think he's just a super physical player, and that kind of lends to his injury, essentially. He hits, he blocks. So the more you get hit with a puck, the more you hit somebody else, you're going to get injured. He is a bit on the older side, not incredibly young. I do, when he is healthy, he's like pound for pound one of the best, like peripheral floor. And then if he remains on that top power play, it's wheels up for Boone Jenner, especially this late in the draft. But the risk is his injury. I would agree with that. I think it's highly unlikely he plays the full 82 games. And then Josh Norris, I'm higher on Boone Jenner than I am on Josh Norris, even though Josh Norris now getting the opportunity in Buffalo will be really interesting to see. It's always been that shoulder, and he's just like every year it's something else, and he ends up getting another surgery. I feel really bad for the guy, honestly. Like he's like a pretty elite player that has just been plagued by injuries now. But yeah, it'd be Boone Jenner over Josh Norris for me. And then after Josh Norris at the 19-4, we got Kevin Lankinen at the 19-5, Olin Zellweger at the 19-6, sniped by Dreamkiller. I feel like Dreamkiller every draft is sniping one of us. Really good drafter here. Jason Zucker at the 19-7, pretty good pick. I think he's going to be top power play there in Buffalo. I go Tyler Seguin at the 19-8, and then Ryan goes Jacob Trouba, which is another guy I had in my queue thinking about it at the 19-9. Ryan talked to us about Trouba, the hit train.
Yeah, or more the block train, in my opinion. Here, I am looking at that schedule plan, and Anaheim on these off nights are going to play a lot of off nights. Troop is going to get a lot of games where there's not even 4 defensemen on my team playing with him, and I'm going to get whatever points he puts up. And he'll provide a nice floor with the blocks and the hits and the shots. I don't expect him to do anything offensive on Anaheim. I think he's going to settle into that defensive role and block plenty. Brian, I want to shout out your pick here. It was the guy that I really wanted to pick in the 18th round, and you got him in that 20th round, Marco Kasper. I didn't want to pick him because I had Dylan Larkin at center, but I think that's an amazing pick at the 20th round. I'm higher on Kasper than Nate and Blake are in their projections. I think that him, DeBrincat, and Kane crushed it last year, and in terms of like shot generation as a line. And yeah, he's not going to get power play 1, and that's for sure. But I think at even strength, he'll provide a lot more points than people think. I think he's going to provide as many even strength points as DeBrincat and Kane. And I see 50 points for Kasper with plenty of shots, 180, and plenty of hits, 180. What are you feeling about the 20th round pick there?
Yeah, I love Kasper. I'm glad I was able to get him. Unfortunately, I didn't have someone else on Detroit, but I went off script here. No, I like Kasper, very young guy, obviously. I remember I had him on a couple of my teams last year towards the end of the season, and I was like, who is this guy? He's popping off every night. He's got that in him. Going to play with couple great teammates there, so that's going to really help him. And then, of course, like you just mentioned, he hits a ton. He'll shoot enough, so that can really make up for any lack of scoring if he's not scoring. But I think he'll be really big into the offense alongside his line mates there. So, yeah, I'm big with him. And then Zegras, I kind of shot for it. I know Zegras' health is always an issue, but new team, new look, new Zegras, we'll see.
Yeah, and before that, after I took Trouba, Mason Marchment went next. Then we had Jet Greaves, which interestingly, he went before Merzlikins. So 0G candidate of the year. I love Jet Greaves.
Vezina, right?
Yeah. I put 30 cents on him to get the Vezina at plus. I think it was plus 30,000. So
if you really believe in that, you'd put 50 cents on him.
No, 50 cents. I put $5 on this league here, guys. A lot.
You only got so much money to go around.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Jet Greaves in this format. I'm a little scared to take him because I don't think that he is the starter on day one. I think Merzlikins is the starter. I believe in him to unseat Merzlikins, but that's more of an in-season play in normal leagues where you can grab him off waivers.
How late in the season do you think that he'll supplant Merzlikins?
Oh, well, according to my Vezina bet, 1 week.
Gotcha. I like it.
After you took Zegras and Casper. Sam Dickinson, another rookie defenseman, went. And then Anze Kopitar went. And then I took Braden Shen in the 20th round, which I like his schedule. That's pretty on theme for me, well, along with my other centers. And then Evan, you took Ryan O'Reilly.
Yep, betting on a Nashville bounce back. It's been well documented, and I went with Yossi as well. And he's going to be that top power play. He's going to get all the minutes there that he can handle. Wouldn't be shocked to see him get back to kind of the 60, 65 point territory if things go well. So I don't hate that. It was kind of between him and Kopitar got taken, so that made it easier. I would have taken Casper had Brian not sniped them out of the air. So really good pick there. Ryan, it's interesting. I think that in underground fantasy circles, as we are here and on YouTube and Reddit, you're starting this whole Jet Greaves phenomena. So I feel like you're going to see Jet Greaves start moving up the boards based on Ryan from Top Cheddar Fantasy making the declaration here. So I love that.
Yeah, I gotta say that Nate made the public statement first, I believe. I when he did make that public statement, I already had that Vezina bet in. So I'm gonna say me and Nate, same timesies, are calling out Jet Greaves.
I love that. Brian, I'll let you recap here as I'm coming up on my pick, and I'm going to be scrambling.
Yep, no problem. Forget where we left off, but I'll just go from your last pick, which was at the 25, Ryan O'Reilly. We got Cam York, Schaefer, Carlson. We got Ekholm. We got Urson going at the 2010, and then Radko Gudas, the hit train, Radko Gudas. And then to round out the 20th round, we got Matty Beniers, Drysdale at the 21-1. Stan Coven at the 21-2, Teuvo Teravainen 21-3. Merzlikins, there's Merzlikins. He goes there. Dursey goes at the 5. Laferriere goes at the 6. And then Isaac Howard goes at the 7. So I know Ryan had kind of talked a little bit about taking a swing on guys like, oh, you son of a gun.
I was going to take him if he didn't, to be honest.
Okay. All right, then never mind. I know Ryan was talking about taking a swing on guys like an Isaac Howard. The ceiling could be really high towards the end of the draft. So I'm curious I guess, Evan, I'll throw it to you. I'm curious to get your thoughts on Isaac Howard at the 21-7 mark.
I do like it. We kind of talked about taking swings like that, and it'll be interesting to see where he slots in. If he can get up either with McDavid or Draisaitl, it'll be pretty good. I don't think he's going to take anyone's spot on the top power play outside of injury and him performing well at even strength with either of those guys, but it's kind of Edmonton's one and only young guy that's going to be coming up. So I do like the pick, especially at left wing. And then at 21-8 after Isaac Howard, I go with Simone Edvinsson, which had you shaking your head, Brian, and I like that. And it had Ryan saying he was going to take him. So anytime I have that, I know it's a good pick. So I will take that. I want my shares of Simone Edvinsson this year. We've talked about on prior streams as well how I don't know that he immediately takes over top power play from Seider or if at any point during the season, but even if he doesn't, he's going to get some good blocks, decent hits. He doesn't really shoot, but I can still see him 30 to 40 point range as a defenseman. And if he does get some look on the top power play, that can go up. And I think that he's shown that he is a good skater, facilitator, and has that ability. And then Ryan, I'll throw it to you as Brian's going through his picks here. You go with somebody that I would never touch with a 10-foot pole based on some of his previous games this past year is Tristan Jarry, although he does have upside. I'll say that.
I mean, at this point, I want a third goalie on my team who is likely to get some starts. I think Jarry in this pool of goalies now is probably the highest likelihood left to get more than half the starts. We have Lindgren left. He's not going to get more than half. Grubauer. Shilovs is the only person who I think could get, and he'd be unseating Jarry. Talbot, we have John Gibson there taking starts from him. So, and Joel Hofer, we have Binner as the starter there. So Jarry is the highest likelihood of getting more than half of his team starts, and I think that is what I want in my third goalie and at the end of the draft here. And then, with Edvinsson, I do see him unseating Seider on power play 1 eventually. And I do think his blocks are really nice. I was struggling with him because I do have Cider and that same team conundrum. I was gonna do it in this round though, so maybe I'm glad you didn't let me do it. So I like your pick there, and everyone's hating on his shots. He's only 22 years old. I think there's another step for him to take, including more chance and shot generation.
I agree with that totally. He shot a lot more when he was in the AHL. When he was on their power play, everything was running through him from the point. Look, and he had a great shot. So yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. As he continues to age and get more leash with Todd McClellan, he can shoot some more easily. And then, yeah, I think with Tristan Jarry, the only thing that scared me is just last year when he did. I mean, it wasn't really his fault per se because Pittsburgh's so terrible defensively, but when he went down to the AHL last year and they sent him down, and that was just like such a terrible look. But I do believe in the player individually. It's more the situation. But like you said, like in this, where you're at here in round 21, there's not many other options. So, it's good for a starter because I do believe he'll get it over into Jelkovic. I would agree with that.
Ned's on.
Not
San
Ned,
Jose
yes,
now,
exactly. So that even more reason to believe in that. And then after that, we got Owen Power, 21-10, Mikael Granlund, 21-11. And then, Brian, you go Gustav Forsling and Anthony Cirelli in the 21-12 and 22-1. Yeah.
Guys, my brain's just not working. I picked another Florida guy. We got to.
Okay.
It's a defense. I don't have another defense, but still, oh my God.
3 Florida players. They won the cup 2 years in a row, man. They're going to steamroll everybody. You're good.
Yeah, that's right. No, what kind of threw me off, we got to do another best ball draft again. I got to make up for this. I feel like, generally speaking, my second draft is always better. So we'll do that. But, I like the snipe, I'll say, of Granlund there. I was looking at eyeing him just for those off nights there. I think we don't really know what his usage is going to be. It could be really good, but we saw what he did on a lesser San Jose team last year as well, and I do like that. So I was really big on Granlund, but is what it is. Forsling I picked up. He's just a good, solid defenseman. I need to fill up some D. I like what he's able to do. I know he kind of turns it on in the playoffs a little bit more, but I think he's on a great team. He'll have a chance to get part of the offense. And then Cirelli, not going to replicate what he did this past year. No chance at all, but pretty solid player through and through, second line center on a great offensive team. So I like that there.
And 72 blocks last year. He could replicate that.
Yeah, that he can definitely replicate, which we love to see. After I went with Cirelli, it went Cirelli followed by Muccelli at the 22-2, Patty Laine, Blake Coleman, Justin Faulk, Garland, Schwartz, Voronikov, and Snuggerud. I guess, Ryan, Evan, talk to me about your 2 picks, Coleman and Faulk there.
Yeah, with Blake Coleman, he is not exciting at all, but you're not going to get such excitement here in the 22nd round. Or are we in the 20? Yeah,
20,
we are.
Yeah.
And but I think he provides a nice floor for me with decent shots, great hits, and actually good blocks, over 50 blocks from a forward. And Calgary was pretty stubborn by trotting out Coleman and Backlund a lot at even strength and even on power play too. And I think they can continue to do that. They played Coronado with those 2 guys a lot last season near the end of the season, and that bodes well for Blake Coleman. I think that if anything, like the third line of Coleman, Backlund, and someone else, Coleman can still put up 40 points. So happy with that. What do you got about Justin Faulk here, Evan?
If Cam Fowler hadn't come over, he would go a lot higher, I feel like, because he does shoot, gets decent blocks. If they continue to do that split power play, he'll be on power play too, but he's still going to get good minutes. I don't mind him here as my 7th defenseman. I really actually do like it. I will say that, let's see, who was it here? Larry absolutely sniped me on Patrik Laine at 22-3, so 2 picks ahead of me. I do think Patrik Laine is going to maintain that top power play role. Obviously, the big question is health. I highly doubt he's going to play. It's same as the Mark Stone. Like, he's not going to play the 82 games, but when he's healthy on that power play, he is lethal as a shot. And his even strength's not great, but I would have been happy to take Patrick Laine at a shot at 30 goals, but I'm happy with Justin Falk.
I hate Patrick Laine this year. He's not your pick, but I'll hate on it. I think I think he'll finish the season on the bench in the press box, and they just have too much young talent now with Demidov coming in. Yeah. Slafkovsky, like, they're not going to take Slafkovsky off that first power play, and they need Cole Caulfield to be who he is on that left side on the first power play. And then they got Hudson and Suzuki, and then they have Noah Dobson as well. If anything, I like Noah Dobson to take off someone more than Patrick Laine. And without that top power play, I think that Patrick Laine is a fourth line player who just shoots the puck and is terrible defensively.
I would agree with that. When he was on the top power play and it was working, he was like the one they were going to more than Caulfield to shoot, which kind of nuked Caulfield's value a little bit. But if you watch some of those games where he was hot on the power play, he can still snipe it. He can.
Oh yeah.
The problem is like you said, his even strength deployment, his defense, like all of that is bad. Not to mention the injury risk. But I guess this late, if I'm like it's one of those things again, like it's the Johnny Huberdeau effect for me all over again with Patrick Laine. This guy's got so much name value. He's so amazing, but he's like 4 years past his like prime. So, and not looking on the up and up for him, but definitely somebody I looked at late for this reason, even though we don't get the power play coverage in this format. And
yeah, it brings up an interesting question here in these last few rounds of like looking at these upside plays, but if they don't hit, what's their floor and how is that going to impact your team? I personally want guys with higher floors in this range where if the upside doesn't hit, they're still going to provide me points, the ability to put points on my team. So guys that like Blake Coleman and Connor Garland, I think I'm preferring those guys to guys like Patrick Laine and Jimmy Snuggerud, Jackson Blake. Although I do think there's some nice upside with all those players. It's balancing the upside versus the floor, and it's a tough question.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. As I'm kind of looking through who I can potentially bring in here, that's going to make or break my season.
This is where it's decided.
This is exactly where it's decided.
DeMello, Cody Ceci, they're available. One of those options out there.
You know what? This might be a hot take, but with talking about Florida, Anton Lundell, you remember when Barkov went down, he just like popped right in and was like almost as good as him. They put him right on the top line, top power play, and he kind of flew in there. And now with the potential of Tkachuk being off, I don't think he's going to go on to the top power play over, let's say, like we talked about, Aaron Ekblad, Sam Iskevich, some like Carter Verhaeghe, like those guys are Sam Bennett. They're going to be a lock over him for the top power play. But if Barkov misses any amount of time, and even if he doesn't, that line that he had still rolls. I don't mind him there. And then Ryan goes with Charlie Lindgren. Interesting to kind of handcuff the Logan Thompson, because they were doing like a split before Logan Thompson really went off. And if he gets injured, he'll be the guy. He's proven that he's capable goalie too.
Yeah, totally. He's gone on nice stretches in the past, and I think Washington will keep it a timeshare. So I think Lindgren will get close to 40 starts. And I am looking at my goalies I'm very happy with Vasilevsky early, but with Demko, I think that could be a timeshare. Demko could get 40 starts. So that could hurt me there. Jari, maybe he gets sent back to the AHL. So I wanted to grab a fourth goalie here, just who I know is going to play in the NHL, who's going to get, more than just a straight backup role. And I think Charlie Lindgren is that guy.
I don't hate that at all. We got Frank Nazar going at the 23-10. It'll be interesting to see what he does this season with Bedard. I think that's a good pick. Michael Misa at 23-11 for San Jose. And then Brian is on the clock. I think we recapped some of these other ones looking back even to my pick. But I'll just go back as Brian's making his picks. We had Warren Fogle at the 23-1, Brent Burns 23-2, Jonathan Drouin 23-3, Caden Gooley 23-4, Martin the Popsicle Man at 23-5, Calvin Pickard at the 23-6, Brady Shea at the 23-7, 23-8, Anton Lundell for me, 23-9, Charlie Lindgren for you, Ryan, 23-10, Nazar, and then Misa again at the 23-11. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with Jonathan Drouin. Ryan, what do you think he ends up on the Islanders? Is he going to end up next to Bo Horvat and Barzell, or is he going to go second line? Is he going to get power play time? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't love Jonathan Drouin. I think if he does play with Matt Barzell like all season and on the first power play, that's where he's going to get close to the value he put up on Colorado. But he was just in the best opportunity possible for himself on Colorado, playing on that top power play at times and playing in that top six with the elite players. Interestingly, when I was looking at those players with multi-point games, Jonathan Drouin was one of the most inconsistent players in the league, with a ton of multi-point games, but a ton of games with 0 points. So I do think that's a byproduct of him getting moved up the lineup in those times on Colorado, and I don't think he's like that type of player. So I don't expect that to continue on the Islanders. But he's got just as much upside as any other left wing here in the 23rd round.
Fair point. And then Brian, you go Philip Broberg and Mason Lohrei. Pretty good defense, swing defensemen in the last 2 rounds. I really like that, actually.
Yeah, I like what Broberg did for the stint he did play. He did get reduced, I guess, a bit last year with injury, and I thought right before injury he was pretty much really good player out there. I like what he could do. Young guy, I think there's good upside there. And then Lohrei, I know McAvoy, it's still his power play, and Lohrei is not really a power play guy, but I think he looked pretty good when he did have the chance. I think there's a good upside for him in Boston, especially with a team that should be heading toward a rebuild. I know they're not officially doing that, but they should, and he'll be at the helm when it comes to the back end. So, yeah, may as well take a swing here. And that also rounds out my 7 defensemen as per Ryan's suggestion, so that helps.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I think that both of them have an opportunity at some point to potentially see top power play, especially Mason Lohrei. So, yeah, that'd be interesting to see. And I think that you crushed that. You didn't grab Dylan DeMello. He's still on the board. But, you got to make do with what you can here.
I'm fading him till next draft.
We'll take him high in the next draft, which is fine.
That's right.
Claude Giroux goes after that. Ryan, did you have something to chime in?
No, just like the 7D, if Larry's listening, I'm taking a D next. I want 7D on my team. 4 are getting taken in a given night. So I think it's important to go 7D. I did go 4 goalies. I think I normally go 3 goalies. So I have one less forward than I would normally want, but I think the 7th is more important here. And I'm going with Bowen Byram here, who just got a 2-year kind of prove it $6 million contract. I think he's third in line behind Dahlin and Owen Power for any top power play time, but I think him and Power will be on that second power play unit. And he got 38 points last year, which is actually, I was really surprised at seeing that. He's, 38 points is not bad. If he does that again, I'd be happy with that. And he really upped his block totals on Buffalo up to close to, not 2 per game, but 116 blocks and almost a hit a game. I think his shot total has gone way down as his seasons have gone on, and he's shown in the past when he was younger more of a shooter. And I think that if he can really figure out his game and play to the potential that he was drafted, 4th overall in that draft year, he'll definitely pick up the shots and really perform.
Yeah, I love that pick. Young guy, like you said, drafted 4th overall. Still a lot of upside for him. He's just, I wonder how much of that is just being hampered by being on Buffalo. You know, like I know when he was in Colorado, he was obviously behind Makar. He wasn't really prioritized, but I'd be curious if someone could take a look into that. But I think Byram's a great pick and definitely big upside there. And then Evan went with Sam Skevich. You think he's going to get power play one with Kachuk out?
I don't know, but in the last round, I'll be in on it because he's somebody that, like, when you watch him play and you looked at some of his analytics, he's pretty good. Driver of the puck, shoots. I mean, he had 134 hits last year, which is kind of underrated too. Only 129 shots, but 11 on the power play, 31 points in 72 games. Think he could do a lot worse. I wouldn't be shocked, especially with some Florida injuries, even with Kachuk, if he gets to kind of that 50-point threshold, and then if they throw him on the top power play, even better.
Yeah. And I think he's more likely to get on the second line than like bottom two lines. I think that third line, which maybe is actually their second line of Lindell, Marchand, and Luosterainen, like line. They crushed the playoffs. Crushed. And I think they'll keep that together, leaving Samoskevich to play with probably Sam Bennett and maybe Matt Kachuk if he plays.
Yeah, absolutely. If not, then it's Evan Rodriguez, and that's like the same thing. So,
Totally.
Yeah, right.
And then after Samoskevich, we got Matt Roy. Never thought I'd see his name in a fantasy draft. Adam Larson, Vlasic, Forrester, McNabb. Am I missing something on Matt Roy? Does he get like he must get a ton of blocks.
Yeah. He used to get a ton of blocks. Last year, his blocks went way down on Washington. The Kings, the year before, he had 197 blocks. So
yeah,
almost
there it is.
Yep. Leader.
And 114 hits too, 69 games last year. So yeah, it's not, and almost like 24 points. Like I would have put him in like the Trouba category of like 15 points.
Yeah. And then Jeremy Lazon with the second last pick. He'll put up some hits. And then Vladdy Tarasenko now on Minnesota with the last pick of the draft. And we are done. We got that applause in our earphones from Fantrax. 24 rounds. We went through that pretty nicely. I think that it's an interesting format where you're seeing a lot more defensemen than you normally would. Guys like Matt Roy, Jeremy Lazon, Caden Gooley, Bowen Byram, and it was fun to talk about those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess before we hop off, I know I just learned a lot with the best ball draft, so that was pretty cool. Have a new strategy for when I go into the next best ball draft, which we definitely recommend everybody does. Is there any team in particular you're looking at and you're thinking like, hey, that one's locked, or maybe a pick if that's easier? Take a look at one of the top picks you like and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, while we look, like, what's your thoughts? Like, if we do this again, what's your thoughts on how you would draft differently?
Well, for starters, I wouldn't draft players on the same team. I mean, that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but for me, it's more like there could be other players that are similar that could play on different nights. So that's definitely a priority to pick up players and play on different nights as opposed to the same night every single night. So that's the first thing. The other thing I do is I think I'd actually I'm happy with my goalie pick, but I think I might even fade the later picks, my later goalie picks. The other one is to make sure I make a selection in time so that the auto pick doesn't go in and pick it. So ultimately, there's a lot of a learning curve here for me in this draft. But the good news is it's only up from here. So I'm happy with that.
Nice. So you think with goalies, like, you would be happy going 0G?
No, not 0G. I'm happy with the Gus at the 7-12, but I think I would have waited instead of going Binnington at the 11-12 and Allmark at the 12-1. Like, maybe one goalie in there and then another goalie at the 14th round or something like that. I think I can get a couple other players for value or a better value there. That's going to give me more offense. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Nice. Good lessons learned. So I'm just looking around at these teams. I'm gonna more point to a couple of really like picks that I think are valuable. I think that I touched on it before, but Dreamkiller getting Romanov in the 14th round. I think that's like a little early, but I still like it there. I've seen Romanov go in the 18th round, in the 19th round, and I would love to pick him up there for the blocks and the hits. But I would say that the Detroit guys, the late Detroit guys, I love them. Marco Kasper and Simone Edvinsson in the 20th and 21st round. I love those picks. It just so happened that they are by you guys. So good on you.
Absolutely. I'll just quickly mention, I like the pick Tony DeAngelo at the 15-2 mark. So Dirty Dangler, really do like that pick. I know we all kind of had our eyes on him as well. So nice pick there. And Evan, why don't you wrap us up here with a nice pick?
Yeah, there's a few of them in like the top few rounds I really liked. Seth Jarvis in round 5. It sounds like, okay, that's where he should go. But if you look in this format, Seth Jarvis fantasy points per game averaged more than Jesper Bratt, Matt Boldy, Celebrini, Jason Robertson. Those are some pretty good players, eh? So I feel like that's a crush there. And now he was I was sniped up until Alex Tuck, who I still really like. I like Crosby in the 5th and JT Miller in the 5th, both really good picks. Actually, looking at Nolan M's team, these first few picks, Kucherov, Nylander, Uyghur, Jones, Meyer, Holloway, Aho, Johnston, pretty good stuff. But all around, I thoroughly enjoyed the best ball. I think if I could go back, it took me a minute to get rolling, Brian. You kind of sputtered a little bit in the mid, but I sputtered in the first as Ryan was shaking his head when I took Brady Tkachuk with my if I could go back, I probably now would switch that with Pasta. Brady Tkachuk is somebody that, like, his floor is so high, and every time I'm looking at him get his peripherals, I'm like, man, I wish I had him. So this year it's a bit high in the 8th. I probably like him closer to the 10-11 spot actually even, but and then I don't know, like Bouchard and Dahlin, I'm not kicking myself as much as I would have liked to have taken Panarin probably over Dahlin even and go on a different defenseman. But overall, still happy with my team and great draft, boys.
Yeah.
Well,
here's the thing, guys. There's been 23 best ball drafts, and I'm assuming there'll be a couple more. So we'll run it back here. But everyone who tuned in, that's all we've got for this episode. So hopefully it brought you some value and helped you get just a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. I know it helped me. Many thanks to the band there for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. We appreciate your time. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.